Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Conquered and left for dead by Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, Superman lies in a coma in a country hospital. With his costume torn and burned beyond recognition, his identity is unknown, and all hope for his life has been abandoned. Meanwhile, with Superman disposed of, Miller decided to test his atomic power by destroying part of Metropolis. Late at night, he ascended to the observation tower of the Metropolis Bank building, 105 stories above the street. Alone now on the high tower, he fastens a tiny electronic converter to his throat and dons meshed metal gloves. A maniacal gleam in his eyes, he looks down at the great sleeping city below him and reaches to throw the switch on the throat converter, to flash an electronic impulse to the deadly kryptonite atoms in his blood and send them surging in a stream of terrible atomic power through his metal-gloved fingers. Listen.
Now is the time. I will destroy part of Metropolis. Then the rest of the world will surrender to me. And Germany will rise from her ashes. And I shall be her savior.
In a moment, Metropolis, you'll be dust. Only this one building will remain of all your glory.
Throwing the switch, the Atom Man raises his curiously gloved hands, stretches them beyond the chest-high wall which surrounds the dark tower. He waits for the atomic energy to build and surge in his blood. For the first blinding white-hot flash, the avalanche of jagged green sparks, the forked lightning that leaps from his fingers. He waits one moment, two, and then the first whining crackle of the deadly atomic power begins.
There it comes. What's wrong? Where is the lightning?
Suddenly, the deadly crackling hisses and sputters out, and a look of alarm crosses the Atom Man's face. His hand flies to the switch on the throat converter, turns it again. Still, there is no flashing explosion, no snake-like green lightning. Frantically, the Atom Man turns the switch again and again, seeking for his terrible power. But he hears only the empty, futile click of the switch. Then even the radioactive hum of the kryptonite in his blood fades away. He rages, and then he gasps and pales as he remembers the warning of the brilliant half-mad scientist who had transformed him into a human monster.
The Teufel. He said my atomic power would diminish. He said the kryptonite in my blood could be exhausted. I've got to find the Scarlet Widow. She has more kryptonite. Oh, but how? I don't know her. I don't know where she is. Wait, before I left Germany, Teufel told me something. What was it? I remember. He said there was an address stitched in one of my gloves. Someone's coming out here.
11 o'clock, mister. Gotta close the tower now, hey.
It's the elevator operator. Got to get the converter and gloves off before he sees them. Okay, I'll be right with you. There, into my pocket with them. Sorry to have kept you waiting.
Oh, that's all right. I just have to see that everyone's off of the tower at 11 o'clock. Those are the rules.
I understand.
Yeah. I'll take you down, huh? Hey, you couldn't see much tonight, could you, hey?
I didn't see what I wanted to, but I will the next time.
Descending to the building lobby, the slim, blonde Atom Man leaves the car and walks rapidly to the street, his hat pulled low over his eyes, his coat collar muffling his chin. In the shadow of a doorway, he carefully examines his metal gloves, nods with satisfaction, then hails a taxi and is driven to a handsome apartment building in an exclusive residential section facing the park. In the foyer of a ninth-floor apartment, he gives one of his gloves to a short, slant-eyed manservant in neat dark clothes, who disappears with it, then returns to conduct Miller into a luxuriously furnished drawing room. There, reclining on a divan, with a box of chocolates at his elbow, is a grotesquely fat man in a flowered silk dressing gown. Small, almost babyish features are set in a vast, pale, moon-like face, topped with thin, silky pink hair. As he listens, his pudgy hands constantly conduct chocolates to his tiny mouth. But as the Atom Man nears the end of his story, the fat man, who is known only as Sidney, pauses with a candy halfway to his lips, and his sleepy little eyes sparkle like cold blue diamonds.
Superman dead, eh? I can't believe it.
It's true.
Superman dead. My boy, that's...
Will you stop saying if? I tell you I killed him.
Gently, Miller, gently. I'm accustomed to surprises, but this is the most amazing thing I ever heard. Amazing. All of us, were certain he could never be destroyed. We tried everything.
Well, we can forget about Superman now. I need more kryptonite, and you've got to get it for me, Sidney.
Where does one get kryptonite?
A woman called the Scarlet Widow has it.
Scarlet Widow.
Yes, do you know her?
Who doesn't know the Scarlet Widow? She's the cleverest woman in the world. And the most dangerous.
I don't care about that. You know where she is?
I can find out, if necessary, but you told me the Teufel had to go to your father in Germany to have the stuff dissolved. No other chemist could do it. But now your father's dead.
I helped my father when he was working on the problem. I remember the formula for dissolving it. Of course, we'll need a good chemist.
Securing the chemist won't be too difficult. But dealing with the Scarlet Widow is another matter. Very expensive.
So what? You must have plenty of money.
No man ever has enough money. And I love money more than anything in the world. Are you sure you won't have a chocolate? These are really delicious.
I said I don't want any. Look, Sidney, you don't seem to understand. Once I'm the Atom Man again, I can destroy Metropolis, London, Moscow. I can destroy all of our enemies.
I'm not interested in destroying our enemies. And destroying cities is a great way. Great ways. Cities represent wealth, and wealth is all that matters.
I'll get someone else to help me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You won't get very far. Probably not even a mile from this house.
What do you mean?
Haven't you seen the papers? Or heard the radio tonight? The police and the FBI are looking for you.
Already?
Of course. That's why I think it would be wise to place yourself in my hands.
All you want is money. I have no money.
But once you have atomic power, we can get plenty of money. All the money in the world.
What do you mean?
Very simple. Suppose you destroyed Metropolis, or at least a part of it. Yes, I think that would be an excellent idea. The world would then know our power. But instead of destroying London or Moscow or any other city, we only threaten to do so. Can you imagine them refusing to pay us anything we ask to spare them? Well, what do you say?
Fine. When do we start?
Wait. First, you must pledge to follow my orders exactly. In everything. Agreed? I know that look in your eye, my friend. You think once you're the Atom Man again, you'll finish me off, as you did twice.
No, of course not.
Don't bother to lie. Let me warn you, I can protect myself even against your atomic power. Gito!
Yes, master.
If I know you, Gito, and I think I do, you, managed to overhear my conversation with Mr. Miller.
Yes, master.
What a rogue you are. I think that's why I like you. And am I wrong in assuming that you've already made inquiries of our people about the Scarlet Widow?
That is correct, master.
Is she, in Metropolis, Gito?
Yes, master.
Wonderful. Here, have a chocolate.
Thank you, master.
Look, Sidney, let's not waste time. Let's get...
When money is involved, I never waste time. And when as much money as this is involved, money beyond counting, then I can act swiftly indeed.
What's that?
Oh, keep calm. It's only the clock. Midnight. But I'm sure the widow will be glad to see us. She loves money as much as I do. Bring my coat and hat, Gito, and order the car. We're going visiting.
His fat baby face beaming, Sidney removes his dressing gown and laboriously dons the greatcoat which his servant brings him. Then, panting, he waddles from the apartment with Gito and the eager Atom Man.
We'll return in a moment for the tense climax of today's episode. But right now, here's a word from your announcer.
You know, a certain young lady registered a complaint with me the other day. Sure, said I'd been neglecting the girls when I talk about those swell new comic buttons that come in packages of Kellogg's Pep. We have just as much fun as the boys do, she said, wearing those smart-looking buttons on our jacket or dress and collecting all the different buttons and trading duplicates with our friends. And you know, she's right. All the gang gets a big kick out of this series of 18 different comic buttons. They're all done up in full comic strip colors on white enamel sturdy metal buttons that are so doggone smart-looking that, well, they're really on the beam. So hop to it, gang. Today, ask Mom to get you several packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get these new comic buttons, you know. You can't buy them, and you don't send either money or a box top. You just look inside the Pep package for your prize. There's a prize for you in every package of P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
As the Atom Man and the Master Spy, Sidney, are en route to the Scarlet Widow's hideout, Superman still lies unconscious in the Linwood Hospital 50 miles away. In the last hour, he has been mumbling incoherent, disjointed sentences. Near the bed in which he lies, their faces grave, Dr. Bruce, Chief of Staff, speaks quietly with Dr. Jacob Sims, a world-famous specialist summoned from Metropolis.
Adam, no.
You too would say the case was hopeless then, Dr. Sims?
I'm afraid so. You've tried all the usual shock methods to bring him out of his coma?
Yes, but not even Benzedrine increased his heart action. If only his skin hadn't become impenetrable.
Yes, that's an amazing thing. The skin texture shows no sign of calcification. I can't understand it.
I can't either. But it has become impenetrable, so it's impossible to give him an injection. Poor chap, I doubt if he'll last the night. Well, it was very good of you to rush down here, Dr. Sims.
Not at all. I'm terribly sorry I can't be of more help, but it's a most interesting case.
I'll walk you to your car. Is the verdict of the two doctors final? Is there no hope for Superman? Tomorrow's episode is tense and exciting, fellows and girls, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, and listen to The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
After defeating Superman and leaving him for dead on a lonely beach, Henry Miller discovered that the solution of kryptonite in his blood, which transformed him into an atom man able to generate terrific atomic power, had been exhausted in the Titanic battle. Determined to destroy Germany's enemies, Miller called on a strange fat man named Sidney, the money-hungry creator of the Nazi spy system, and told him that a woman called the Scarlet Widow possessed the only remaining kryptonite in the world. Seeing an opportunity for untold wealth, Sidney agreed to try to get the kryptonite. As we continue now, the gaunt, ugly widow and her little cockney henchman Sniggers are in their hideout behind an innocent-appearing book and gift shop in Metropolis. It is just after midnight, and both of them, contemplating a huge pile of crisp banknotes, are in high spirits. Listen.
$2 million. And when Pepper Rouse gets here, we'll have $3 million. We're rich, widow. We're rich.
Yes, I'm a happy woman tonight, Sniggers. I've got money again. Power. And the only man who ever double-crossed me, der Teufel, is dead.
All on account of that little piece of kryptonite I copped out of the Metropolis Museum that night. Who'd ever have thought it'd bring us all this money?
I told you it would. I knew the Vulture and Papa Rausch and the Laugher would pay me almost anything I asked for the power to control Superman.
You was right, widow. You're always right. I never seen blokes fork up $1 million so fast as the Vulture and the Laugher when you give them their pieces of the blooming stuff tonight. When's Pepper Ash coming for his?
He said he'd be here within the hour.
Good. Then we can up it out of this dump. Where we go?
I was thinking of the Argentine. Fleischmann writes there are lots of opportunities down there.
Hey, that sounds good to me, widow. We'll have a high old time with all that money. What?
Someone's at the door.
Right. Must be Pepper Rausch. I'll let him in.
Wait. It may not be Rausch.
Must be. He said he was coming right away.
Not so loud, you.
Sure it's Pepper Rausch. Who else can it be?
How do I know? Might be the police.
The police?
Or some of our friends who found out we've got all this money. We are not taking any chances. Quick, help me get the money into this drawer.
All right. Nobody ain't going to take this haul away from us now, sir.
There. Be careful now. Walk quietly to the door.
All I'm saying is it better be nobody except Pepper Rausch.
Quiet. Stand to one side of the door. Who is it?
An old friend, widow. Sidney.
Sidney? How did he ever find us?
He can find anyone. I wonder what he wants.
Oh, you want to let me in, my dear?
Don't let him in. I don't trust that fat bloke.
I'm not afraid of him. Open the door.
No, widow. He's smart. He's after the money. He'll steal it from us.
He won't steal it from me. Open the door.
Well, all right, but I don't like it.
Good evening, widow. Just as lovely as ever.
And you're as fat as ever, Sidney. Close the door, Sniggers.
Oh, yes. The ever faithful Sniggers. Cheerio, Jeffy.
Hello, Sidney.
What brings you here so late at night?
It is late, isn't it? Well, I'll sit down if you don't mind. No. Now we get to business.
What business?
I'll come right to the point, my dear. I understand that you have some kryptonite.
How did you know?
How did I know? What a silly question, Snickers. I know everything. You were about to say something, widow.
I did have it, Sidney. It's gone now.
Gone?
Yes, I sold it.
All of it? All 3 pieces?
That's right.
You're lying, my dear.
No, she ain't. We sold
Shut
them
up,
to...
Snickers. None of his business whom we sold them to.
Quite right. If you sold all 3 pieces. But I don't believe you did.
Why?
And because, as I understand it, kryptonite is Superman's mortal enemy. He's helpless in its presence. Yeah, of course you know this, or you wouldn't have stolen the fragment in the first place.
Who said we stole it?
Please tell this fool to be quiet.
Shut up, Snickers. Go ahead, Sidney.
You knew that you could get a tremendous price for the kryptonite from Superman's enemies. If you had already disposed of all of it, as you say, you wouldn't be hiding in Metropolis with the police looking for you.
I won't beat around the bush with you, Sidney.
It wouldn't be healthy, my dear.
I'm not afraid of you. But we've done a lot of business together, so I'll tell you the truth. I've already sold 2 of the pieces of kryptonite. The third and last piece is promised to a man who'll be here to get it and pay me for it tonight.
I knew all of it wasn't gone. I want that last piece, widow.
Impossible, Sidney. This man is too powerful to make an enemy of. I'm sorry.
No man is powerful when he's dead.
This bloke ain't dead. Hey.
I realize that, but it might be easily arranged. You see?
Now, look here, Sidney. I don't want to get mixed up with any of your Gestapo tactics. I played a long and dangerous game, and I've won. Now I intend to leave the country. Safely. With my money.
And that's right, it is.
My dear widow, I assure you that if you sell the kryptonite to me, you'll be taking no chance.
I'm not so sure.
But if you don't, I doubt that you'll leave this country at all.
What?
I've told you before, Sidney, you can't scare me.
I've no intention of scaring you, my dear. I only wish to point out that unless you sell me that last piece of kryptonite, the police will be informed of where you are. And if you leave here without my permission, they'll be kept informed of your movements until they catch up with you. I think you know me and my organization well enough to realize that even you can't hide from us long.
I'll fix you.
I wouldn't try to use that knife, Snickers, if I were you. Apart from the fact that I'd shoot you first, my man Cheeto's outside.
Cheeto?
Exactly. Well, widow, you always think quickly. What do you say?
I think I'd enjoy killing you, Sidney.
But, of course, you're much too sensible to try.
Yes. All right. You win on one condition.
What's that?
You'll pay me the same price I was to get from my other customer. $1 million.
Well, that's a great deal of money.
Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'll take it. Frankly, I expect to make much, much more than that with the stuff. Much, much more. Oh, well, I must be going. Just one thing more. The man you're expecting tonight. What's his name?
Papa Rausch. You know him?
Yes, of course. If you'll open the door, please, Sniggers, I'll leave and make the necessary arrangements for Papa Rausch.
Righto. I'll be glad to see the last of you, I will.
I'll return later with the kryptonite.
I'll be here.
I'm sure you will. Good night, widow. Good night, Sniggers.
Smiling pleasantly, Sidney waddles through the door to arrange a murder, and so get possession of the kryptonite, which will once again transform Henry Miller into a deadly atom man. We'll return in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. But right now, here's a word from your announcer.
You know, gang, even if you tried, I'll bet you couldn't think of a more exciting prize than those new comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Think of it, Superman and Orphan Annie and Moon Mullins, 18 different comic strip characters in all. And you can collect them easy as pie. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy these comic buttons anywhere. You just ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Then look inside the package and see which prize you find. One of these keen new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. It's your prize from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
As Sidney, the fat man, was preparing to obtain possession of the last piece of kryptonite, Jimmy Olsen, who had returned to Metropolis, has just come back to the village of Linwood, summoned by Sheriff Simpson. And as we join them, the boy reporter and the sheriff are now entering the hospital where Superman had been brought from the beach where he had been found near death after his mighty battle with the Atom Man.
Well, who is this man you want me to see, Sheriff?
Well, pretty sure this is the fellow you saw on the beach yesterday, Olsen, with Miller and Teufel. We're hoping you can identify him. Here, up these stairs.
Oh, but gosh, Sheriff, I didn't see his face.
Well, anyhow, seeing as how you was mixed up in it, might just be you know this fella. Doc Bruce and that specialist they had out from Metropolis say he won't last through the night. We'd like to know who he is so we can get in touch with his family.
Gee, the poor guy.
Yeah, this way. His room's right down the hall.
All right.
And if you can identify him, we might be able to find out what Miller and Teufel was up to, where Miller went.
That would suit me fine. Miller's a dirty Nazi, and he's got to be caught.
Well, nobody's been able to catch him so far. Hold it. Here's the room.
Is he still unconscious?
Yeah. Ain't woke up since they dug him out of that hole in the sand. Come on, he's in that bed there. What the?
Oh, what's the matter? Hey, there's nobody in this bed.
No, he's gone.
Gone where?
How do I know? He was right in that bed an hour ago. He was unconscious, in a coma. And now he's gone.
Holy smokes. Doctor, nurse, somebody come quick. Dr. Bruce, nurse.
Startled, Jimmy Olsen rushes out into the hospital corridor, leaving Sheriff Simpson to stare incredulously at the empty bed in which only an hour ago Superman lay in a coma, his life despaired of by the physicians. What has happened? Where is the dazed and stricken Man of Steel? Fellows and girls, our story has taken a strange new twist. Tomorrow's episode is dramatic and surprising, so don't fail to be with us when we learn the mysterious fate of Superman and find out if Sidney, the sinister fat man, succeeded in obtaining the last piece of kryptonite for Henry Miller. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publication.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Having defeated Superman in a titanic battle, Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, discovered that the solution of kryptonite in his blood, which enabled him to generate atomic power within his own body, had been exhausted. Aware that a woman known as the Scarlet Widow had stolen the original kryptonite fragment, Miller contacted a sinister fat man named Sidney, who traced the widow to her hideout and demanded that she sell him her last remaining piece of the element. Meanwhile, Jimmy Olsen had been summoned to a small country hospital, where the unconscious Superman, his identity unknown, had been given only a few hours to live. But when Jimmy was led into the room in the hope that he could identify the dying man, Superman had disappeared. As we continue the next morning, Jimmy has returned to Metropolis and is in the office of Editor Perry White at the Daily Planet. Listen.
When I got into the room, Mr. White, the man, whoever he was gone. They looked all over the hospital for him and all through the grounds, but they couldn't find him.
I thought you said he was unconscious, in a coma.
Well, he was. They didn't expect him to live until morning. So how could he just get up and walk out of the hospital?
Well, he couldn't. Somebody must have carried him out.
Oh, but they couldn't know without being seen. The head nurse's desk is right near the door, and somebody was on duty there all the time.
Well, maybe they took him out through the window. Anybody think of that?
Sure, but the room is on the 3rd floor, and the fire escape is at the other end of the building.
Well, they still make ladders, don't they?
Huh? Well, sure they do, but But who'd go to all that trouble, and why?
Henry Miller, of course, or somebody working with him. They found out the fellow wasn't dead, and they were afraid he'd tell who tried to kill him. Maybe what Miller and Teufel were up to, so they took him away.
Oh, the poor guy. Miller will certainly finish him this time. Gosh, when I think of those green sparks shooting out of his hand...
Oh, stop with those green sparks. It was lightning you saw. Freak storm.
No, it wasn't, Chief. I mean, Mr. White.
Of course it was. Oh, boy, how I'd like to get my hands on that Miller. Palming himself off as an American war veteran. Getting me to give him a job, and all the time he was a dirty Nazi.
What I don't understand is why he took me out to that beach cottage. I never did anything to him. Gosh, Mr. Ken and I thought he was a nice guy.
Well, that reminds me. Kent fancies himself a great detective. Maybe he can find out what this is all about. Where is he?
Huh? Oh, I don't know. I called his apartment twice this morning. No answer.
Yeah, and it's after 10 o'clock. He's probably off on his own hook again. And if he is, he's through this time for good. I warned him.
Well, he might have gone to see his doctor. He was sick yesterday morning, you know.
Huh? Oh, yes, I forgot. Well, he ought to be along soon, then. Incidentally, remind me to tell him that John Millison wants him to call. He says it's very important.
Want me to answer?
I am still able to answer my own phone, thank you. Hello? Barry White speak. Oh, hello, Doc. Hello. No, I haven't forgotten, but Ken hasn't been in yet. Yes, I know he isn't at his apartment, and he'll probably be in soon. It's payday, and he usually condescends to drop in then. You sure I can't help you? I see. Well, all right, I'll make sure he calls you the moment he comes in. You're welcome. Goodbye. Millison again. Wonder what he's so all-fired eager to get hold of Kent for.
Oh, is that Dr. John Millison, the big scientist?
Yes. He says he must talk to Kent at once.
I just remembered. Mr. Kent sent me over to his laboratory with something a few weeks ago.
Huh? With what?
Oh, I don't know what it was. It seemed to be just a sliver of green metal, but burned when you held it in your hands. It was in a flower pot in the Scarlet Widow's apartment.
I see. Now, of course, Kent wouldn't tell me about it. I'm only his editor. I'm not supposed to know what stories he's working on until he decides to take me into his confidence. I will...
Oh, here's Mr. Kent now.
Well, it's about time. What's that outfit you've got on, Kent?
Well, what's the idea of the overalls, Mr. Kent?
Well, why don't you answer? What are you standing there for? Come in.
Yes, all right.
Well, come on, explain yourself. Where have you been? And what in tarnation is the idea of dressing up in those dirty overalls? Kent, what's the matter? Grab him, Olson. He's going to fall.
Oh, I've got him. Here, sit down in this chair, Mr. Kent. Gosh, what's the matter? What happened?
I don't know. Since
You don't know. Olson, get him a glass of water.
Okay.
Never mind. Wait, there's water here in my tub.
What do you mean you don't know, Mr. Kent? Were you in an accident or something?
Accident? Yes. No.
Yes,
Don't
no.
bother him yet. Don't bother him. Here, Kent, drink this.
Oh. Thanks.
Do you feel any better now?
Feels strange.
Strange? Well, how do you mean?
I'm weak. I'm tired. I've been walking.
Walking? Walking where?
I don't know. Just walking. I couldn't get myself up in the air.
Huh?
Hey, he's out of his mind. We've got to find out what happened to him. Now, come on, Kent. Try to pull yourself together. What happened to you? Where did you get those overalls?
Farmer.
Farmer?
What farmer?
Met him on the road. Gave me a ride. He was a nice man. I had on pajamas. He gave me these overalls.
You were on a road somewhere in your pajamas?
Good Godfrey. Why?
I don't know. I can't remember anything. After the fight.
What? Oh, so that's it. He was in a fight and somebody beat his brains out. He ought to know better. He can't fight. Wait a minute. Couldn't have been in a fight. There isn't a mark on him.
Well, that's right. Gosh, what is wrong with him, Chief?
He's having a nervous breakdown, that's what. Lois was right. Superman should have left him in that rest home.
Yes. Superman.
What about Superman?
Had to come here. Tell you.
You have to tell us what?
Atom Man.
Atom Man?
Yes. Miller. Must stop.
Are you talking about Henry Miller?
Yes. He's Atom Man. Box on his throat. Power.
He's nutty as a squirrel. Olson, call up.
I know what he means. He means Miller's the Atom Man.
What? Now, look here, Olson. Don't you go crazy, too.
That must be it. Those sparks shooting out of Miller's hands. And he was a Nazi, and he was with Teufel. And before Teufel escaped to Germany with the kryptonite, he said he was going to create an Atom Man to destroy Superman. Well, that was why Mr. Kent was so worried. Don't you remember?
Yes, I remember all right. Kent wouldn't listen to me, and he worried himself into a nervous breakdown. An Atom Man destroying Superman. I've heard enough of that nonsense from Kent. Now, I don't want to hear any more of it from you.
But
I said stop it. Poor Kent's out of his mind, and now you want to drive me batty, too.
But he just said Henry Miller was the Atom Man.
Does he act like he knows what he's talking about? Must have seen a headline about Miller being on that beach with Teufel, and so now he thinks that Miller is an Atom Man. I'm going to take him to my own doctor right now, and then maybe I'll take him to Florida. Hey, listen to me. He'd gone there last week.
There's a box on his throat.
Yes. Sure. Now, come on, Kent. Up on your feet, boy. You come with me, and I'll take care of you.
All right.
Answer the phone, Olson. And if it's for me, say I'm out. Don't know when I'll be back. Let Lois and Burroughs handle things.
Okay. Mr. White's office. Jim Olson speaking.
You come along, Kent. I'm here now, and you'll be all right.
Oh, hello, Dr. Millison. Mr. Kent? Oh, no, he was in, but he just went out again. He's sick. But he couldn't call you, Dr. Millison. Do I know how to get in touch with Superman? Are you kidding? I mean, excuse me, of course I don't. Yes, I'll tell Mr. Kent as soon as I see him again. Okay, bye. Asking me if I can get in touch with Superman. Huh. Some people must think he works here or something.
Replacing the phone, Jimmy Olsen looks anxiously after the dazed, staggering Clark Kent, who is being led away by Perry White. Why is Dr. Millison, the famous scientist who was unable to help Superman defend himself against the power of the kryptonite, now so eager to contact him?
We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But right now, here's a word from your announcer.
You know, gang, that old phrase, as much fun as a barrel of monkeys, is kind of out of date. Nowadays, it's as much fun as a collection of comic buttons. Yes, sir, these new comic buttons that come in packages of Kellogg's Pep are a barrel of fun. There's a doggone smart-looking in the first place, right on the beam. The full-color pictures of your funny sheet favorites stand out like anything against the clear white background. Then there's the kick that you get out of adding another button to your collection and swapping any duplicates with your friends. Thanks to the grand old Kellogg Company, it's easy as 1, 2, 3 to collect all 18 different buttons. All you do is to ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get these nifty comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. Just look inside the Pep package, and there you are, one of these exciting new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Don't forget now, there's a prize for you in every package of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Shortly after the dazed Superman in his guise of Clark Kent was led from the Daily Planet by his anxious editor, Sidney, the sinister fat man, wedged himself into a phone booth in a drugstore and made a call.
Hello, this is Sidney. Put him on the phone.
Hello, this is Miller.
Quiet. I know who you are.
Oh, yeah, listen, did you get the...
Stop it. Haven't you any sense? Of course I got it.
Good, that's wonderful.
Our party was cautious, so it took longer than I expected. But everything's arranged. Now pay attention. Don't interrupt. Guido knows where to take you. You'll, fix your hair and your clothes as he directs before you leave. You understand?
Yes. Where are we going to go?
I said don't interrupt. You, have the, formula written down.
Yes.
Well, bring it with you. We'll find out if it works. I'll meet you. That's all. Booms are too small.
Extricating himself with difficulty from the phone booth, Sidney waddles through the crowded drugstore to the street, his moonlight face showing no sign of the greedy eagerness in his fat body. For in his overcoat pocket, wrapped in lead foil and clutched tightly in his pudgy hand, is a small piece of green glowing radioactive kryptonite, the deadly element which, when dissolved and injected into Henry Miller's blood, will transform him once more into an atomic monster, able to destroy anything in his path. What will happen? Will Miller's formula, which he says he received from his father, dissolve the kryptonite? And what of Superman escaping death by only a miracle, now dazed and helpless?
Fellows and girls, Monday's episode is tense and exciting, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publication.
Kellogg's Pep.
the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Left for dead on a lonely beach by Henry Miller, the Atom Man, Superman was brought to a country hospital where he lay in a coma for many hours. His identity unknown. But the following morning, weak and dazed, he managed to make his way back to the Daily Planet where he could only mumble strange words. Meanwhile, discovering that the solution of kryptonite in his blood, which had made him an Atom Man, had been exhausted in his titanic battle with Superman, Miller contacted a strange character known only as Sidney. Sidney, in turn, contacted the Scarlet Widow, who had stolen the original kryptonite fragment from the Metropolis Museum and forced her to sell him the last remaining piece of the element. As we continue now, Sidney, Miller, and a German chemist named Joseph Bush are in a laboratory in the attic of a Metropolis bungalow. Suspended over a Bunsen burner is a quartz beaker in which a colorless liquid boils violently and gives off cloudy fumes. At the bottom of the beaker is a mass of green glowing powder. Bush, the chemist, is speaking.
You are sure you gave me the right formula, Herr Miller?
Positive. 6 parts of hydrofluoride to 1.5 parts of aqua regia.
You have not forgotten anything?
Nope. It's the same formula my father worked out in Germany. I was there.
And it dissolves the kryptonite, hmm?
How else do you think it could have been injected into my blood? He ground it into a powder just as you did, then put it into a beaker with the hydrofluoride and aqua regia.
Well, why are you asking all these questions, Bush?
Because, Sidney, you can see for yourself. The kryptonite is not dissolving.
I don't understand it.
I do. Obviously, you didn't give Bush the right formula.
But I did, Sidney.
Then why doesn't it work?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're a fool, Miller. And I, for the first time in my life, have been a fool, too. You realize I paid the Scarlet Widow $1 million for that spoonful of green powder?
$1 million?
Yes. I had to get rid of Papa Rausch besides. Keep him from getting it.
If you had asked me first, Mynheer, I would have advised against it. The whole idea is fantastic. To create a human Atom Man.
What do you mean, fantastic? Teufel did it with me, and I killed Superman with my atomic power.
That I do not believe.
I did, I tell you.
Oh, stop it. Stop. Boy's telling the truth, Bush. I happen to know the Teufel did inject kryptonite into his veins, and it did give him atomic power.
It is difficult to believe.
Never mind what you believe. Your job is to dissolve that stuff. Now go ahead and do it.
But the formula is wrong.
It is not. You're a stupid fool, Bush.
Schweinhund, how dare you?
Stop it, both of you. Get to work, Bush. Dissolve that kryptonite.
You do not seem to understand. To find the formula for dissolving such a hard element as this, and one so complex, takes years.
Years?
Yeah. And even then it may fail.
It had better not fail. I don't intend to lose my hard-earned money. Miller, you said you were sure of your father's formula.
Positive.
Then give it to Bush. Correctly. Or a policeman will find you in a dark alley tomorrow morning. With one of Gito's sacrificial knives in your back. Now get busy.
What's that?
The ventilator fan. Carrying the fumes away. It still does not dissolve. Miller, try to remember. There must have been some other agent, some catalyst with the acid.
No, I can't remember any.
There must have been. Try to remember. Did your father perhaps add acetone?
No.
Or ethyl iodine, or molybdenum?
He tried molybdenum first, but it didn't work.
Perhaps copper chromite then?
No.
Or sulfurochloride?
He tried that too, but...
Phosphorus oxychloride?
No.
Keep trying, Bush. Keep trying. Maybe he'll remember.
What is the use? There are 10,000 chemicals which might have been used, but it is clear this young fool does not remember.
Wait a minute.
What?
I just remembered. I think my father did use another chemical.
Yeah? What?
Quickly, what was it?
I'm trying to think. Wait a minute. It seems to me that he did something to the powder before he put it into the beaker with the hydrofluoride. Yes, he did.
What did he do? What?
Wait a minute. It was the night he told Teufel and me that he finally had the right formula. Teufel asked him what it was, and he said 6 parts hydrofluoride, 1.5 parts aqua regia.
That we know.
Quiet. Go on.
Teufel got terribly excited and started to measure out the acids. My father told me to bring him the teapot. I knew he was very tired. He'd been working night and day for almost a week. I brought the pot to the slab of stone he was using for a table, and then went to the other end of the cave for the hot water kettle.
What is this talk of teapots and kettles? Tell us.
I'm coming to it. Wait. When I got back with a kettle of water, my father waved it away. He was just putting the teapot down, and I remember noticing that the kryptonite powder in the mortar was wet, and that it hissed and gave out sparks. I didn't think anything about it at the time. I was excited and tired, too. But now I think he poured the tea brew on the powder.
What? Tea brew?
Yes, it must have been that. He had the pot in his hand, and Teufel had the acid several feet away where my father had rigged up a coal oil burner.
You think it could have been the tea, Bush?
In tea, there's only tannic acid.
Could that do it?
Of course not.
It must have been the tea.
Such stupid, childish talk.
Confound you, Bush!
Look here. We've got nothing to lose except my $1 million. I don't intend to lose that. Now, try the tea.
What? It is a waste of time, an insult to my intelligence.
I said try it.
All right. I will have to empty the acid into another beaker. Miller, go down to the kitchen and ask my wife for the teapot.
Okay, and I'll bet it works.
You'd better pray that it does.
A waste of time. Nothing else.
Time is less valuable than money. Time is. And if it works, I'll have all the money I want. All the money in the world. Think of it, Bush. How much do you think the Bank of England would pay not to have London blown into dust? How much do you think they'll pay to have me spare them?
It's impossible. Philip, even if this kryptonite can be dissolved, once it is injected into Miller's system, he will die.
He didn't die the last time, and he's begging to take the chance again for the glory of the fatherland.
I've got the teapot.
Bring it here.
Here you are.
I know this is senseless, but since you wish it... So.
See how it hisses and sparks.
Right, it does.
Wait. The powder is not yet dissolved.
Pour in the hydrofluoride and aquarita.
That is what I am doing.
Anything happening yet?
Not yet. Do not stand so close. These fumes are very dangerous. Say, Himmel,
what is it?
The powder. Yeah. It is actually beginning to dissolve.
It is?
Yeah. See how it is slowly disappearing. How the liquid becomes a deeper and deeper green. This is amazing.
Didn't I tell you? You called me a fool. You said I was stupid. Now what do you say? What?
His eyes blazing with triumph, Henry Miller watches the kryptonite powder slowly dissolve in the hissing, boiling acid. Will this deadly brew make him once more a human atomic monster, able to destroy anything in his path? We'll return in a moment for the climax of today's episode. But first, here's a word from your announcer.
You know, gang, one of the best things about this new series of comic buttons Kellogg's Pep is putting out is that you keep right on having fun. Yes, sir. This isn't something that you do in a minute and then forget. You get loads of fun for weeks and weeks. First off, it's mighty exciting to see which button is inside the package when Mom opens a new package of Pep. Maybe it's a comic button that you don't have yet. Maybe Lillums or Herbie or Haroldine or maybe even Superman, complete with cape and Superman insignia. But if it's a duplicate, that's even more fun because then you can scout around and see which one of your pals has a different button to swap with you. Now, it's a cinch to collect all 18 different buttons. All you do is to ask Mom to get you a package or two of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Remember, you can't buy these new comic buttons, and you don't send in any money, not even a box top. They come only as prizes inside the Pep package. So get busy. Ask Mom to get you a package of Pep tomorrow. Then see which prize you find inside. One of these smart new comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
As Henry Miller, Sidney, and their Nazi chemist succeed at last in dissolving the kryptonite, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, is high above the city in a transport plane with Editor Perry White. The Man of Steel's mind is still numb and dazed from his battle with the Atom Man, and he mumbles strangely, almost incoherently.
Yes, sir, Kent. A few weeks in Florida will make you as good as new again. Doctor agreed with me. All you need is some rest and sunshine and freedom from worry.
Must stop Miller. Got to stop him.
Now, just get Miller off your mind.
Can't.
He's another dirty Nazi, that's all. The police will take care of him.
No, they can't. Miller is the Atom Man.
Now, forget Miller, I tell you. Just concentrate on getting well.
But we've...
Yes, sir, we're going to have a fine time. I needed a little vacation, too.
But
we'll sun ourselves on the beach, get in some good deep-sea fishing.
Listen, there's a box on his throat. That box controls his power.
What box on what throat?
Miller.
No, that again. Now listen to me, Kent.
Oh,
For your own good, you've got to forget about Miller and everything else.
Wait.
Just think about getting a lot of sunshine and rest.
But only I know. Only I can stop him from destroying. Only I must get that box before he sees me.
Kent, will you stop it?
Only I. Oh, but there's something wrong with me. I have no strength. It's hard to think. Only I can stop him. Only I.
Weak and dazed, Clark Kent, who is Superman, repeats the same phrase over and over, trying vainly to recapture his former strength, while the plane speeds him farther and farther from Metropolis, soon to be threatened by Henry Miller and the sinister Sidney. What will happen? Only Superman knows the menace of Henry Miller and the secret of his power. But Superman is helpless now. Fellows and girls, there are thrills and excitement ahead for you in tomorrow's episode. So don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, and follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publication.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Dazed and helpless after his defeat by Henry Miller, the Atom Man, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, was taken to Florida by Perry White, who believed Kent was suffering from nervous breakdown. Meanwhile, discovering that the kryptonite in his blood, which enabled him to generate atomic power, had been exhausted in his mighty battle with Superman, Miller contacted a strange individual known only as Sidney, who secured for him the Scarlet Widow's last remaining piece of kryptonite. In the attic laboratory of Joseph Bush, a German chemist, the deadly element was dissolved. And as we continue now, Miller lies on a couch, breathing heavily, his eyes closed. A long rubber tube extends from a clamp on his bare arm to a glass cylinder suspended above, in which a brilliant green liquid is slowly disappearing. Sidney sits wedged into a chair as Bush nervously tests Miller's pulse. Listen.
Well, boys, how's it look?
His pulse is very rapid. Over 100.
I should think it would be. That kryptonite's powerful stuff.
I would feel better if we had a doctor here.
I didn't have a doctor in the cave in Germany when Teufel injected the stuff into Miller the first time. Fewer people involved, the better. It's always been my motto.
But what if something goes wrong? We would not know what to do.
Time enough to call a doctor there. What's that confounded noise?
It's a ventilator fan.
Well, turn it off.
It is not yet safe to do so. The fumes of the acids we use are very dangerous. They must be cleared from the room.
Oh, well, sit down and relax. You make me nervous.
How can I relax? Nothing like this has ever been dreamed of before. Imagine a human being able to generate atomic power within his own body.
Well, Miller can, Bush, he can. I had a first-hand report on his demonstration in the Black Forest. He got rid of Superman, you know.
I cannot believe that is true.
I wouldn't go through with this if I didn't believe Superman was dead.
Superman destroyed. It is amazing. Never did I believe such a thing was possible.
Neither did I. That's what convinced me to give the Scarlet Widow a cool $1 million for a last piece of kryptonite. Why, I expect to make... What's the matter?
His pulse has become very faint. While we were talking, I can hardly feel it at all.
You can't?
None. See how pale he has become. Like wax. He hardly breathes. I do not like this.
Now, don't lose your head.
I told you we should have a doctor. I will call
Not yet. Disconnect the transfusion tube. The stuff's all out of the jar.
But I...
Do as I say and disconnect the tube.
Yeah, all right.
Wait. Miller told us he might go into a coma. He said it was like that in the cave in Germany.
But this is not a coma. This man is almost dead. He must have forgotten some important detail about the transfusion, as he did with the dissolving formula.
He can't die. I paid the Scarlet Widow $1 million.
Please, let me call a doctor.
If Miller's dead, a doctor can't help him. If he's alive, a doctor might spoil everything. We'll wait a while.
But
I said we'll wait a while. Sit down.
But then?
The car stopped in front of the house.
Himmel.
Well, look through the window and see who it is.
Yeah. It's the police.
Are you sure?
Yeah, a police car and 2 officers. They're already at the front door. What do they do? They must have traced Miller here.
Oh, they couldn't have. His hair is dyed and he wore an American Army officer's overcoat. My man's too smart to let anyone trail the car. Let me think.
What will we do?
Will you stop repeating that stupid question? Let me think. Your wife's downstairs, isn't she?
No, she is out.
All right. They won't see anybody through the windows. They may leave. Plan to come back later. We can get away for them.
They are not leaving.
Come on. Give me a hand with Miller.
What are you going to do?
Put him on the floor behind the couch. Come on. Take his leg. Come on, hurry.
It will not work. They will search the house.
It's our only chance. I've talked myself out of tough spots before. Maybe I can do it again. Easy now. Easy. There.
They are still ringing. We are trapped.
No. Get this bush. Let them in. Tell them you were working on an experiment and didn't hear them.
What kind of experiment?
Never mind. Let me do the talking. Now, pull yourself together and let them in.
That is madness. We are trapped, I tell you.
Hurry now. Do as I say. For heaven's sake, stop trembling.
How can I? I'm afraid. One moment, please.
I'll move the couch. Closer to the wall. There. Better drop something over him, in case they come up here and look behind the couch. Oh, that looks suspicious. Well, now, let's see. Miller's coat. Where'll I put it? No, closet here. I'll have to fold it and sit on it. First, I'll shut off that infernal ventilator. Now, there. Door's closed. I wonder what happened. Someone's running upstairs. I hope it...
It's all right. They're gone.
Not so loud, you fool.
Never was I so scared.
What do they want?
A car parked too close to the fire hydrant in front of the vacant lot next door. They're looking for the owner.
My goodness, that was the first door. Come on. Help me move this couch away and get Miller back on it.
He is dead. Better we leave him there until Jito can take him away at night. What is that?
Miller. Does that sound like he's dead? Come on.
Can it really be that he is alive?
What happened? Where am I?
Bet he's alive. There. Are you all right, Miller?
Yeah. What happened?
It's a miracle.
The solution of kryptonite was injected into you. Don't you remember?
The kryptonite. Yes, of course. My atomic power, I have it again. I feel strong as if I could lift mountains. Just the way I felt the last time.
Good. It'll be dark in an hour, and you can test your atomic power then. And if it works...
It'll work. I can tell. I can feel it. In an hour, I'll destroy Metropolis. I'll destroy every stick and stone of it. I'm the Atom Man again.
Yes, indeed, you are my Atom Man.
Maniacal gleam in his eyes, Henry Miller lifts his hand, gloating at the thought of the terrible atomic power that will soon pour through them. We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, here's a word from your announcer, Dan McCullough. You know, I hear there's plenty of friendly competition among you fellows and girls nowadays to see who can collect the most different comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Isn't it swell fun trading any duplicates you get and adding to your collection? And don't these new comic buttons look keen, pinned on your jacket or dress or cap? The colors are so bright and gleaming, and the pictures of your comic strip favorites show up like anything against that white enameled background. Like Superman with his bright blue jersey and red Superman insignia. That famous Superman cape is a flying in the wind, too. And Moon Mullins, boy, you'll get a chuckle out of that button. He's mighty comical, with his popping eyes and big black cigar. Believe me, every single one of these 18 different buttons is really on the beam. Why, you'll want to collect them all. And you can, too, because they're easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. You just ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Then see which prize you find inside the package. One of these smart new comic buttons, or a military insignia, or warplane button. It's your prize from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman. It is an hour since Henry Miller awoke with a fresh solution of kryptonite in his veins. Dusk is drifting down over Metropolis. The city's millions, unaware of the terrible threat hanging over their heads, are hurrying homeward. Joseph Bush's little attic laboratory Sidney sits reading the evening edition of the Daily Planet, which Bush's wife has just brought him, while Miller paces the floor impatiently. Below, at the front door, Bush keeps watching.
It's dark now, Sidney. What are we waiting for?
It's not dark enough yet. Be patient.
It'll be pitch dark by the time we get to the tower.
I want it to be pitch dark when we leave here. But here's some patience is a valuable trait. Try to cultivate it. What's this?
What?
Just a good grief, Kennedy.
What is it? Can what be?
Superman. Possible he's alive?
Superman alive? That's impossible. Why,
He must be. According to this newspaper story, the unidentified man who we know as Superman disappeared from the Linwood Hospital last night.
But he couldn't have. The doctor said he was dying.
The doctors didn't know who their patient was. But we know. Oh, this is terrible. It ruins all our plans.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Just you fool. Superman's going to let you destroy Metropolis or any other place without defending it. He'll be there at the first explosion.
No, he won't. He'll be afraid to come near me.
Superman afraid? You're out of your mind.
No, he knows I'll finish him this time.
You couldn't finish him the last time after exhausting all your atomic energy. And I got the last piece of kryptonite from the widow. There's no more. Exhaust that or Superman, we're through. Finish.
No, he can't stand in my way again. He can't. There must be a way.
There's no way we'll make it. All my great leads and all my $1 million, they're gone.
There must be a way. With my great atomic power that... Yes, of course. I forgot. There is a way. Teufel figured it out.
What do you mean?
Teufel knew how Superman could be finished. He wanted me to do it, but I wouldn't listen to him. I was sure that Superman was dead. But now I will do it, and I can't fail.
Well, what are you talking about? Tell me.
All right. Listen, Sidney. Superman has another identity. I know what it is, but he doesn't know. I won't have...
Triumphantly, the Atom Man confides his plan for the destruction of Superman to the intent Sidney. The plan developed by the late and brilliant and half-mad Teufel, who had thought of everything. As Sidney listened, his little pig eyes sparkle like cold blue diamonds in his sinister moonlight face.
You've hit it, Miller. You've hit the perfect plan. Superman can't escape now. He's doomed.
What was Teufel's plan, which the Atom Man and Sidney now propose to put into operation? Do you remember what Teufel said just before he died? Fellows and girls, a new and even more terrible threat menaces Superman now. A threat he himself once voiced as the only way in which he could be destroyed. Tomorrow, the fatal trap is baited for the Man of Steel. So don't fail to be with us then. Tune in, same time, same station, and thrill to the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publication.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
While Clark Kent, who, as we know, is Superman, was taken to Florida by Perry White after his narrow escape from destruction at the hands of Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, Miller was being injected with another solution of radioactive kryptonite, which enables him to generate deadly atomic power within his own body. Miller was preparing to destroy Metropolis when Sidney, the sinister fat spy with whom he has allied himself, discovered through a newspaper item that Superman was still alive. Sidney convinced Miller that their plans for world domination were hopeless while the Man of Steel lived. As we continue now, in the little attic laboratory of a German chemist, Miller is telling Sidney how Superman can be destroyed. Listen.
In spite of Superman's great powers, he's still a mortal, a human being. The doctors and scientists that he permitted to examine him have said so.
I know that. Get to the point, Miller. What are you driving at?
It's like this. Human beings have to eat and drink or they die. So all we have to do is to put Superman into a coma and keep him that way until he starves to death.
That's all we have to do. Just put Superman in a coma. Are you out of your mind?
It's easy. Superman can't stand the atomic power of the kryptonite in my blood. I'll expose him to it again.
How can you without...
It's easy, I tell you. I'll let him know that I'm going to destroy Metropolis. He'll show up to try to stop me, and that'll be the end of it.
It'll also be the end of your atomic power, and then we're off.
No, it won't.
Of course it will. Oh, you idiot. Wasn't it exhausted after your last fight with Superman?
Yes, but I exhausted it the last time because I kept trying to finish Superman after he was unconscious. This time I won't do that. As soon as he loses consciousness, I'll stop.
It might take too much power to knock him out.
I don't think so. The last time...
No, we can't take any chances. Superman's clever as well as powerful. He knows what you can do now, and he'll be more careful. He'll make you fight longer.
I can handle.
You're a fool. Can't you get it through your head that this is the last of the kryptonite? Got to conserve every ounce. Must be some other way. Got to find it.
Well, Sidney, I think...
Wait a minute. You said that you and Teufel were sure that Superman's Clark Kent, the Daily Planet reporter.
Well, practically sure. Teufel treated my vest with lead to keep the emanations of the kryptonite in my blood from escaping. And when I came near Kent while I was wearing it, nothing happened. But when I approached him without it, he became dazed and he almost collapsed, just as Superman did.
That's not conclusive proof. Kent might have been ill that day. But was there anything else?
Yes. I got Superman to the beach by phoning Kent and telling him that Jim Olsen was in great danger. Superman arrived within half a minute, and the beach is 50 miles from Metropolis.
Oh, that's better. Much better. So Clark Kent's Superman. Now we get in someplace.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Got an idea. Yeah. Tell me. Kent has no idea that you suspect his double identity, has he?
No, of course not.
Good. Very good. One other thing. You say Superman becomes affected by the kryptonite in your blood, even when you're not converting it into atomic energy.
Yes. When I met him at the Daily Planet that night, he almost passed out.
Fine. Miller, I believe I know how it can be done. Yes, I'm quite sure I do.
Why?
Exposing Superman to your power, of course, and keeping him under it until he's done for without you having to exhaust the power.
How?
Oh, this is good.
Now, look, Sidney, if you're figuring on my walking up to him or sitting next to him in a restaurant or something, it won't work. He knows it.
I'm quite aware of that.
And a disguise won't work either. His X-ray vision will see right through that.
I know that, too. In fact, I know much more about Superman than you do. I've made a study of him for years, trying to find a way to get rid of him, and now I found the way.
Which way? Tell me.
I'll tell you in the car.
Where are we going?
To make the necessary arrangements for eliminating Superman. Careful on those stairs, my boy, careful. The carpet seems a bit loose. Can't afford to have anything happen to you now, you know. There are millions at stake, millions. And oh, how I love my money.
His fat body shaking with greedy laughter, Sidney leads the Atom Man from the attic laboratory. Meanwhile, having arrived at a small hotel on the Florida coast with Perry White, Superman in his guise of Clark Kent immediately retired to his room, where he fell into a deep, dreamless sleep. Late the following morning, when he joined his editor on the sunny breakfast terrace overlooking the sparkling blue ocean, his step was firm, his eyes clear, and the heavy numbness which had clouded his mind since his encounter with the Atom Man was gone.
Good morning, Chief. Well, good morning, Cat. Say, you look fine, like your old self. How do you feel?
Oh, in the pink, as Jimmy would say.
I never saw anyone make such a speedy recovery. Why, you're a new man.
Yes, but I'm still worried.
Now, none of that. No worries. No thinking about the office or anything else for 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Are you kidding?
I certainly am not. I arranged for both of us to be gone for 2 full weeks.
Oh, you did?
We're just going to fish, swim, lie in the sun, eat, and sleep. Now, how does that sound? Huh?
Sounds fine, but did you arrange it with the Atom Man, too?
Huh? With the what?
Henry Miller, the Atom Man.
Henry Miller, the... Now, look here, Ken. Don't go off on that subject again. That's what made you sick.
Made me sick, all right, but not in the way you think.
What do you mean? There's no such thing as an Atom Man. Miller's a dirty Nazi, all right, but
don't now, Chief, please.
Well, now, look, Ken. In the first place, you're not well enough to go back.
Physically, I never felt better in my life.
Physically? But how about mentally?
What do you mean?
You're a sick man, Ken. Created some kind of a fantastic illusion in your mind about an Atom Man.
I only wish you were an illusion. Unfortunately, though, he's real. And unless we stop him, most of us will be dead in a month.
All the ridiculous nonsense. Now, look here, Kent. Listen to reason. You told me yourself that Dr. Millison, one of the greatest scientists we have, told you that it was practically impossible to create an Atom Man. And that it... Oh, say, that reminds me. Millison was trying to get hold of you.
He was? When? Where? Why didn't you tell me?
Well, how could I? First you weren't around, and then you were sick. You phoning the office practically every hour. Here, where are you going? You haven't had your breakfast.
I got to call Millicent. Maybe he was able
Able to what? Now sit down. Here comes your breakfast. Hey, you call Millicent later.
I can't wait. This may make all the difference. So long, Chief.
Kent, will you come back here? Kent, come back, I say. Kent!
Well, Chief's vacation. He arranged it for my benefit, but if those calls from Millicent mean what I think they do. Let's see, where can I... Now, that patch of bushes behind the terrace ought to do for a dressing room. There we are. Now, off with these clothes. Good thing I had another
Superman outfit. The Atom Man certainly ruined my other one. Next time we meet, maybe it'll be different. Maybe. If only Millicent has been able to... Ah, there we are, all set. Now, back to Metropolis.
Up and away! Leaping high into the sunlit clouds, Superman veers and rockets away to the north, red capes streaming in the wind. Will he find what he hopes at Dr. Millicent's laboratory? We'll return in a moment to learn what happened. But right now, here's Dan McCullough to tell you about that wonderful series of comic buttons.
You know, gang, since Kellogg's Pep began putting out those smart-looking new comic buttons, I've learned a thing or two. For instance, one of the girls in our neighborhood was showing me her button with Winnie Winkle on it. And I learned that Winnie's hairdo is called a page boy. And Winnie's brother, you know, the little kid with the soft bow tie, has a name that's a sort of a joke. You know, Periwinkle. Well, a periwinkle's a plant or a little sea snail. And what I'm learning about the fun you fellas and girls are having, collecting all 18 different buttons. These buttons are just about the best-looking things you ever saw, in brilliant colors on a clear white background. Aren't you glad it's so easy to collect these swell comic buttons? Why, you don't send in a single penny, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. All you do is to ask Mom to get you plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's an exclusive prize, one of these swell new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. It's your prize from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Once more in possession of his great powers, Superman has arrived at Dr. John Millicent's laboratory on the campus of Metropolis University. Eagerly now, he holds in his hand what is, at first glance, only a modern plastic trousers belt. But woven under the smooth, glossy surface is a network of fine, hardly discernible wire filaments, which cross and crisscross through the entire belt.
You say this belt will detect the presence of kryptonite, Dr. Millicent, and warn me of it?
If there's any kryptonite within 100 yards, the belt will warn you.
How?
There's an alarm secreted in the buckle.
Oh, yes, I see it.
It'll send out a high, wavering whine. Not very loud, but you'll hear it.
You say it'll detect the presence of kryptonite within a radius of 100 yards.
Well, I say that conservatively. It may detect it at a greater distance, but 100 yards is certain.
Good.
It's constructed along a principle of radar, which was perfected during the war.
Look, Doctor, this is terribly important. Will it detect kryptonite in liquid form, in a man's body?
In a man? Oh, you still got Teufel's Atom Man on your mind. I'd forget that if I were you.
Well, I can't, because, you see, Teufel did create an Atom Man.
Oh, come now, Superman.
I tell you he did, Doctor. I battled with him, and it's only a miracle that I'm still alive.
Heavens. You really mean?
Yes, I do. Don't mention it to anyone. No sense alarming people until it's absolutely necessary.
No, of course not. I can't believe it.
It's true. Only too true. And unless I stop him, he'll destroy every vestige of civilization as we know it. Now tell me, Doctor, this is important. Will the detector warn me of the presence of the Atom Man? Will it?
Well...
Tensely, Superman waits for Dr. Millicent's answer. The answer which this time will truly mean life or death to him. Because at this very moment, Sidney is on his way to the Daily Planet to set a deadly trap for Clark Kent, whom he suspects is Superman. Fellows and girls, don't miss tomorrow's tense, dramatic episode. There are a dozen thrills and surprises in store for you, so don't fail to tune in. Same time, same station, and follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Discovering that Superman was still alive after his terrific battle with Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, Miller and his sinister ally Sidney concocted a diabolical scheme to once and for all eliminate the Man of Steel. Meanwhile, again in possession of his great powers, Superman hurried to the laboratory of Dr. John Millison, a famous scientist, in response to an urgent summons. Millison gave him what appeared to be an ordinary plastic belt, but which was actually an extremely sensitive detector, equipped to warn Superman of the presence of kryptonite, the deadly radioactive element which enables Miller to generate atomic power. Then Superman asked a question, the answer to which may mean the difference of life and death to him. Listen.
Tell me, Dr. Millison, will this detector belt warn me of the Atom Man?
Well, I think so.
You do?
Yes, the detector's extremely sensitive. Makes use of a new principle of radar which we perfected just before the war ended. Of course, it won't register at nearly as great a distance as when the element is in its solid form.
No, I can understand that. What distance from the Atom Man will it register, would you say?
Well, for a rough guess, I'd say about 10 yards.
10 yards? That's only 30 feet.
Yes. It might register at a greater distance, but I wouldn't count on it.
30 feet, that's not much. But it might just give me time enough to take him by surprise and tear that box off his throat. That's my only chance to defeat him.
What box?
Well, he wears a small square metal box over his jugular vein. It has a tiny electronic tube in it and a switch. That box controls his power. I found out that much.
Sounds like an electronic converter, designed to flash an impulse to the kryptonite atoms in his blood, starting on nuclear fission. No, it's impossible. He'd explode to bits.
Everything he pointed his metal gloves at exploded except me. He remained very much alive.
Impossible. Wait. Did you say he wore metal gloves?
Yes, they were meshed metal. Jagged green sparks poured out of the fingers like miniature lightning bolts.
What was the metal, do you know?
I'm afraid I was too busy trying to stay alive to find out. It was gray-white, I can tell you that, with a sort of bluish cast.
Those gloves are the secrets, and the converter, of course. I'd certainly like to see them.
After my next encounter with the Atom Man, if I'm still alive, I'll bring them to you, Doctor.
What makes you think you'll encounter him again?
I'm sure I will. He said he intended to destroy me first and then enslave the rest of the world. Well, he knows now that he didn't destroy me. Chances are he's looking for me right now.
How can he find you? Nobody knows where you go or even who you are.
Yes, that's my ace card, my only salvation. Well, I'll be going now, Doctor. I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Forget it. I did very little. I only wish I could do more.
You did a great deal. It may make all the difference. No, don't bother to show me to the door. I'll use your skylight again if you don't mind.
Of course not.
So long. And thanks again.
Bye. Best of luck.
Up, and away!
Leaping through the open skylight, Superman leaves Dr. Millison's laboratory and streaks away. A short time later, once more in the guise and garb of Clark Kent, he enters the Daily Planet City room and approaches Jimmy Olsen's desk.
What? Mr. Kent, what?
Well,
How?
don't be so startled, Jim.
But you're in Florida. You were awful sick, and are you all right now?
Fine, thanks.
Oh, gee, that's swell.
Well, Lois?
Well, she's out on a story. Where's Mr. White?
It's a silly conversation. He's in Florida. Oh, and that reminds me, I'll have to send him a wire. He won't know what happened to me.
Oh, well, I guess you're all right again. When you start getting mysterious, it means you're in the groove.
Let's hope I am. Jim, have there been any reports on our late friend and colleague, Henry Miller?
No, not a one. He just disappeared. Listen, Mr. Kent, did you really mean it yesterday when you said he was the Atom Man?
Did I say that?
Well, sure you did. Don't you remember? Oh, I guess you didn't know what you were saying, huh?
Well, one guess is as good as another. I got some things to attend to. I'll see you later, Jim.
Oh, now look, Mr. Kent, don't start clamming up on me again.
What?
Well, you know something. I can tell by the way you act. Oh, here, I'll hang your overcoat up.
Thanks. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like a little privacy. I got a call or two to make. But we can have lunch together if you like.
Okay. Hey, where'd you get that snazzy new belt?
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, it's keen. One of those fancy plastic jobs, huh?
I guess you could say that. Jim, send Beanie in, will you? I want to send a wire to the chief right away. He'll be having fits.
Okay. Well, what time do you want to go to lunch?
Oh, 12:30, 1, whenever it suits you.
Well, the earlier the better. You know me.
I certainly do. 12:30 then.
Check.
Right. Now, let's see. Telegram. Sorry. Had to rush away. Very urgent matter.
Hey, Mr. Kent.
Just a minute, Beanie. I'm finishing a telegram. I'd like you to send it out right away, please.
Okay, there's a fat geezer here wants to see you.
A what? Here you are.
A fat geezer.
Oh?
And very high claws. He's wearing yellow gloves and spats and carrying a cane.
Oh, what's his name?
Sidney.
Sidney what?
That's all he told me. He says he's got something very important to see you about.
All right, send him in. And make sure that telegram goes at once, Beanie.
Consider it done, Mr. Kent. Okay, Mr. Sidney, you can come in.
His mind preoccupied with thoughts of the Atom Man, Clark Kent looks up indifferently as the fat Sidney, his tiny babyish mouth smiling benevolently in his moonlight face, waddles into the office. Kent is about to receive the shock of his life, so stay tuned in for the startling climax of today's episode. But first, your announcer.
You know, gang, there aren't many prizes, or such doggone swell prizes, that you can get as easy as those new comic buttons that now come in packages of Kellogg's Pep. Why, you don't have to spend a single penny of your allowance, and yet you can have the fun of collecting 18 different buttons, each one with a true-to-life picture of one of your favorite comic strip characters. It's no end of fun to add to your collection every time Mom opens a new package of Pep. Fun to swap duplicates with your pals, too, and mighty exciting to wear all your buttons pinned on your jacket or dress or cap, so everybody can see how many you've collected. And did I say these new comic buttons are easy to get? Why, you don't send in any money, not even a box top. All you do is to ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Then look inside the package for your prize, one of these slick-looking new comic buttons from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Sidney, the shrewd master spy who now controls the Atom Man, has just entered Clark Kent's office at the Daily Planet. Placing his Homburg hat, yellow gloves, and cane on a corner of the desk, he wedges his fat body into a chair and leans forward confidentially.
I'm a retired businessman, Mr. Kent, and for several years I've devoted myself to a hobby. I think you'd be interested in it, and I need your cooperation.
On what?
Why, my hobby, which I have reason to believe is the same as yours.
I'm afraid I don't understand. What hobby?
Why, Superman, of course.
Superman?
Yes. Why you look so startled, Mr. Kent?
Startled? I'm not startled.
Oh, forgive me. I thought you were.
What makes you think Superman is my hobby?
Perhaps I used the wrong word. Perhaps I should say he is my hobby and your work.
My work? What do you mean by that?
Oh, perhaps nothing. Perhaps a great deal. But let me tell you the real purpose of my visit.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes. Well, you see, I'm considering publishing a report of my studies on Superman, in which I would reveal to the world his true identity.
His true identity?
Of course, you know he has a double identity.
He has?
Come now, Mr. Kent, you know who he really is.
I do?
Certainly you do. That's why, before I publish my findings and expose his identity...
No, you can't do that. You can't.
Why not?
Because, well, you may be mistaken.
I'm quite sure I'm not.
Well, you may be. You must be. And if you published a false report, you'd cause a great deal of trouble.
Yes, I would, wouldn't I? I wouldn't want to do that. That's why I want your help.
My help? How can I help you?
As an expert on Superman, Mr. Kent, I'd like you to look over my documents and photographs and all the other material that I have on the subject.
See. Well, this sounds very interesting, Mr. Sidney. I'd like to see your documents and other data.
Yes, I was sure you would. Shall we go now? I've a little place in the country. It's only about an hour's drive.
Oh, no, I'm afraid I can't leave just yet, but I have a car, and well, perhaps this evening.
Oh, whatever you say. My place is called Green Meadows. It's on a side road 3.5 miles west of Glenville on Highway 33. You'll see a rustic sign saying Green Meadows and a dirt road through the trees.
I'll find it, all right.
Good. I'll be expecting you then. Goodbye, Mr. Kent. Until tonight.
Yes. Tonight.
Deeply worried, Clark Kent stares at the door through which Sidney waddled from the office, mutters to himself,
"Does he really know who I am? Or is he only bluffing? If he does know, what's his game? Is it blackmail? Got to find out how much he knows and keep him from publishing it. If the Atom Man knew Superman was Clark Kent, that'd be the end. For me.
Yes, Clark. And unfortunately, the Atom Man does know you're Superman. And so does Sidney. Are you going to walk into their trap? Think fast and act fast. Faster than even you have ever thought before. Because once again, your life is at stake. Fellows and girls, don't miss tomorrow's thrilling episode, whatever you do. Tune in, same time, same station, for The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow The Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Suspecting the truth, that Clark Kent is in reality Superman, and determined to eliminate him before attacking the rest of the world, Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, and Sidney, the master spy, set a trap for the Man of Steel. Calling on Kent at the Daily Planet, Sidney stated that he had made a careful study of Superman as a hobby and had discovered his double identity. But before publishing his report, he wished Kent to examine his documents, fearful that Sidney might really know the truth, and that the Atom Man might in turn discover it. Kent agreed to come to Sidney's country house that night. As we continue now, the fat spy has just left. Kent, throwing open his office door, calls to Jimmy Olsen. Listen.
Jim! Oh, Jim!
Yeah?
Come here, please. Hurry.
What's up, Mr. Kent?
Step on it before he gets away.
Well, before who gets away?
That fat man, Sidney.
I don't see any fat...
Come in and close the door. Now listen closely, Jim, and don't interrupt. Getting into the elevator.
Well, who is?
Sidney. Now...
Oh, who's Sidney?
I said don't interrupt. I want you to call Inspector Henderson. Don't touch that desk.
Well, gosh, what?
There are fingerprints on it.
Whose fingerprints?
Sidney's. Now, will you please be quiet and listen?
Okay,
Call
but
Henderson and ask him as a personal favor to me to get a fingerprint man up here at once. I want the prints taken off this corner of the desk and identified if possible. You got that?
Oh, sure, but what's this all about?
No time to tell you now, Jim. Ask Henderson if he knows anything about a man named Sidney, a retired businessman who lives at Green Meadows. That's a few miles north of Glenville on Highway 33. Have you got that?
Sidney, retired businessman, Green Meadows. Check.
Good. Then call Candy Myers and tell him I want all the dope he can get on Mr. Sidney at once. Now, today. I'll either be back later for the information or I'll call you. Now, get going.
Okay, but where are you going?
I'll explain everything later, Jim. Get on the phone and call Henderson first and then Candy Myers. Hurry. Now, out of these clothes. There's no doubt about it. Sidney was implying that I'm Superman. Got to find out more about him. Uh-oh. Getting into that big black car at the curb. Well, I'll just follow him as Superman. There we are. All set. Windows open. I'll go out that way. Up and away! Oh, where is he? Oh, there's his car. Up higher. Up! It's heading west toward River Road. Away!
Leaping higher into the bright cloudless sky like some great red and blue bird, Superman streaks above the Metropolis traffic, which moves like a procession of tiny ants far below. His keen eyes never leave the big black car in which Sidney drives, and he follows it through the outskirts of the city, then into the country on a broad rolling highway. A little over an hour later, when the car turns off the highway into a narrow dirt road through the trees, Superman is still high above, watching it stop before a low rambling house of stone and timbers into which Sidney enters. Dropping a little lower, the Man of Steel hovers, his eyes searching, probing.
Just one other person in the house. Manservant. Oriental of some sort. Nothing suspicious so far. Wait a minute. That closet in his room. Can't see into that. Oh, it's made of mirrored doors, opening into the room and bathroom. Can't see through the lead backing on the mirrors. The closet ceiling must have been painted with a heavy lead paint.
Sidney's lying down on his couch. Looks like he's going to take a little nap. Well, I'll just look over the grounds.
As Superman searches the grounds surrounding the house and the nearby woods, Sidney, reclining on a couch, his eyes closed, speaks in a low voice, barely moving his lips, addressing his remarks to Henry Miller, the Atom Man, who was concealed in the glass-doored closet at the foot of the couch.
Don't open the door any wider, Miller.
It's stuffy in here.
Well, we can't take any chances. Superman may be above the house at this very moment.
What makes you think that?
Well, he's no fool. I hinted very strongly to Kent that I believe he's Superman, so he'll naturally be suspicious of me. Look the place over thoroughly before he comes here tonight.
You shouldn't have made him suspicious.
I had to, or he wouldn't bother to show up. I purposely laid myself open to him so that when he comes here tonight, he won't possibly think that I'm in league with you or with any other of his enemies. I was even careful to leave some good fingerprints on his desk, which I'm sure that he'll investigate.
You left your fingerprints?
Naturally. Don't worry, don't. There's no record of them in Washington or anywhere else. When Mr. Kent and the police get through investigating me, they'll find I'm exactly what I said I was. A retired businessman with an apartment in town and a house in the country.
I hope
I'm always right, Miller. Can't afford to be wrong. I've gone over every detail. Superman or Kent will certainly come here tonight. While you remain in that closet, he can't see you. There's a sheet of lead in the ceiling and heavy lead backing behind the mirrored walls.
You're positive he can't see through lead?
Positive. Now remember, when Kent arrives, I'll bring him in here. If he's Superman, he'll become dazed, as you say he did at the Daily Planet when you approached him.
Yes, he practically collapsed.
If that happens tonight, I'll call to you. You've got your converter and metal gloves?
Yes, right here in my pocket.
You'll have them on. We'll take him outside, and you'll expose him to just enough atomic power to make him lose consciousness. Then we'll keep him in a coma until he finally starves to death.
Will Clark Kent, who is Superman, step into the trap set by Sidney and the Atom Man? We'll return in a moment to find out. But right now, I see that Dan McCullough is waiting to talk to you.
You know, I guess I'm a pretty forgetful guy. All week long, I've forgotten to put in a special plug for the girls who are collecting those swell new comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. And everybody knows that the girls get just as much fun of these slick-looking buttons as the fellas do. No wonder. It's mighty exciting when Mom opens a new package of Pep to see which button you'll find inside. Maybe it's a comic character that you don't have yet, like Orphan Annie or her dog Sandy or Harold Teen, or even Superman himself. Or maybe it'll be a duplicate so that you can have the fun of swapping with one of your friends. But whichever comic strip character it is, it's bound to be doggone smart-looking. And these buttons sure do show up when you pin them on your jacket or dress or cap. And they're so easy to get. You don't send in a single penny, not even a box top. Why, you can't even buy them anywhere. They come only as exclusive prizes in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Ask Mom to get you some Pep tomorrow. Then see which prize you find inside the package. One of these dazzling new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. There's a button in every package of P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
The big clock in the city room of the Metropolis Daily Planet shows 20 minutes past 7 o'clock in the evening. Only a few reporters, hats tipped back on their heads, still sit at their typewriters. Jimmy Olsen, feet cocked on his desk, slumps back in his chair, snoring gently, as Clark Kent enters and walks swiftly to the boy reporter.
All right, wake up, Jim.
Where? Oh, Mr. Kent. Gosh, I was having the worst dream. Teufel had us tied
All
up.
right, never mind your dreams now. What about Sidney?
Sidney?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's okay, Mr. Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who you thought he was, but...
Did Inspector Henderson have his fingerprints checked?
Mm-hmm. A guy from headquarters was here right after you left. Henderson called just a little while ago and said to tell you there was no record of Sidney's fingerprints in the department or in Washington.
Did Henderson know anything about Sidney?
He said he never heard of him.
How about Candy Myers? Did he check on Sidney?
Mm-hmm. He said Mr. Sidney is a retired businessman, like he told you. He used to be a partner in a glass importing company. He retired 3 years ago, and Candy says made a pile of money.
The house he lives in must have cost a pretty penny. Now, go on, Jim. What else?
Well, he's a bachelor, and he's got an apartment in the Oglethorpe Apartments and a house in the country near Glenville. He calls it Green Meadows. The doorman and elevator boys at the Oglethorpe told Candy Sidney was a nice, quiet guy. Oh, yeah, he belongs to the Metropolis Athletic Club.
Good, respectable club. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, he's got a valet named Gito.
Yes, I saw him. So both Inspector Henderson and Candy Myers give Sidney a clean bill of health, eh?
Yeah, he's white as a lily. Oh, look, Mr. Kent, what's this all about? Why were you suspicious of him?
Well, what's the difference? I watched the place practically all afternoon, and I couldn't see anything to worry about either.
Hey, look, I almost starved waiting for you to have lunch. Well, let's go have dinner, and you can tell me about it.
No, can't do, Jim. I've got an appointment.
Oh, shucks. Well, come on, we'll go downstairs together.
No, you go ahead. I got one or two things to do before I leave. I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Good night.
Good night, Jim. Clothes again. Looks like I spent a lot of time, did a lot of worrying for nothing. Sidney seems to be all right. If he does think I'm Superman, I might be able to talk him out of it. Or at least, since he's a decent citizen, persuade him to keep it under his hat. There we are, all set. Up with the window. And out to Green Meadows. Up and away!
Leaping into the air, Superman streaks through the dark night to Sidney's house in the wooded countryside, where, after searching above the house carefully again, he drops to earth and resumes the garb and guise of reporter Clark Kent. Then, ascending the 3 stone stairs to the heavy oak door, he rings the bell.
Well, good evening, Mr. Kent. I'm delighted to see you. Delighted. Come right in.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Sidney.
Gito will take your hat and your coat.
Oh, all right.
You've no idea how glad I am to see you. Gets quite lonesome out here in the country alone. I was just sitting here listening to the radio. But now that you're here, we can have an interesting evening. With Superman.
With Superman?
Discussing him, of course.
Oh.
If you will just follow me, Mr. Kent.
Yes.
I have all my material in my study.
Fine. I'm very anxious to see it.
Unaware of the deadly, inescapable trap he is stepping into, Clark Kent follows Sidney down the hall to the study, where, in the lead-lined closet which Superman's X-ray vision cannot penetrate, waits the deadly Atom Man. The electronic converter fastened to his throat, the strange metal gloves on his hands. What will happen? Can anything save Superman now? Don't miss Monday's thrilling episode. Be sure to be with us then. Same time, same station, to hear the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Convinced it is necessary to eliminate Superman before attempting to control the world, Sidney, the cunning international spy who was in league with Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, set a mortal trap for the Man of Steel. Telling Kent, whom he suspects is Superman, that he had discovered the double identity of the Man of Steel, Sidney invited him to his country house, supposedly to examine some important documents. Suspicious, Kent had Sidney investigated, but learned only that he was a successful retired businessman, as he claimed. After studying the house and grounds for hours, Kent, wearing a special plastic belt designed to indicate the presence of atomic energy, finally rang the bell that evening, his fears gone. Sidney admitted him and led him to his study where, sealed in a closet lined with lead-backed mirrors, which neither Superman's X-ray vision nor kryptonite can penetrate, waits the deadly Atom Man. The closet door is closed, and Sidney motions Kent to an armchair only a few feet away. Listen.
Sit down. Sit down, Mr. Kent. I think you'll find that chair quite comfortable.
Thank you.
May I offer you a cigar or a cigarette?
No, thanks. I don't smoke.
Perhaps you'll have a drink. A highball.
Well, thank you. No, I don't drink either. Don't get any trouble for me, please.
Oh, no trouble at all. No idea how delighted I am to have you here.
You are?
Oh, yes. indeed. You see, I lead a pretty lonely life. Since I retired from business, I have no family. I happen to have enough money for my needs, and so I've nothing to occupy my time, except my hobby.
See. Yes, I believe you said your hobby was, Superman.
That's right. You know how a man with a hobby is. He likes to talk to others with the same interest. I imagine you and I know more about Superman than anyone else in the world.
We do?
Of course we do. I, because I've given years of study and research to the subject, and you, for obvious reasons.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
Oh, come now, Ken. There's no need to be cagey with me. I told you that I discovered Superman's double identity, didn't I?
I remember you mentioning it this morning, yes.
But you don't believe it.
Oh, I didn't say that.
But you meant it.
Well, no.
I don't blame you. Hundreds of men richer than I, powerful men, good and bad, have tried to discover who Superman really is. I rather flatter myself that it was I who finally solved the mystery.
If you have solved it.
Of course I have, of course. Took me a long time, a lot of work, but I solved it.
All right, then. I'll ask you the $64 question. Who is Superman?
Why, you, of course.
I?
Naturally. Couldn't be anyone else. You don't deny it?
So I'm Superman, eh? Well, you're certainly very flattering.
I've investigated story after story in which both you and Superman were involved. Most of them written under your name, by the way.
Oh, well, that doesn't prove anything.
Oh, perhaps not, but I've noticed a situation in almost every story which is the same.
Oh?
Each time, just before Superman appeared, you disappeared. And each time after Superman disappeared, you reappeared.
Oh, haven't you ever heard of coincidence?
When a coincidence repeats itself time after time, it ceases to be a coincidence, Ken. and don't you think it's strange, to put it mildly, that while other members of your staff were seen with Superman many times, you, who had more contact with him than anyone else, were never seen with him?
Oh, you're sure about that I've never been seen with him?
Oh, positive. I've got a filing cabinet in the closet here, filled with stories that prove my point. Let me show you that one.
No, don't bother.
Oh, no bother at all. It'll be a pleasure.
Well, it isn't necessary. Since I wrote the stories, I know what's in them. Sit down again, please. I want to tell you something.
Huh? Ready to confess?
No. Look, Sidney. Hasn't it occurred to you that you're playing a pretty dangerous game?
What do you mean?
If Superman has another identity,
He has.
He's taken great pains to keep it secret. Very powerful. He might resent your prying into his personal life.
You can't frighten me, Ken. I've told you, I've made a long and careful study of Superman. He's honest, fair-minded, always on the side of truth. He certainly wouldn't persecute me for telling the truth.
If it is the truth.
Oh, it is. You know it. Admit it, Ken.
I'll admit nothing of the kind.
You are a stubborn chap, aren't you? But I've got something in the closet that'll prove that I know what I'm talking about beyond the shadow of a doubt.
No, wait, please.
Oh, I've really waited long enough.
Well,
now.
just a moment longer, please. Now, sit down again.
Well, what is it?
I'm going to confess this much to you. Superman has taken me into his confidence now and then, you might say.
Really?
Yes, and so I happen to know that right at this moment he's in great danger.
Macy. What sort of danger is he in?
Well, I can't tell you the details, but, a certain person, a person more powerful than he is...
A person more powerful than Superman? It's impossible.
I tell you it isn't. This person is looking for Superman to destroy him. Then destroy all civilization.
Fantastic.
Well, it may be, but it's true. Now, suppose you publish your report stating that I or anyone else is Superman.
Just you.
All right. You say in print that I am. Don't you see that you're literally condemning me to death?
Yeah, well, I hadn't thought of that.
Then think of it now. Promise me to forget all this.
Forget it?
Well, keep it to yourself, anyway.
You're asking a great deal, Ken.
Why?
But I'll make a bargain with you.
What's that?
Admit that you're Superman.
No.
Just to be confident. I deserve to know the truth after all the work I've done. In return, I'll promise not to reveal your secret. What do you say?
No.
I'll make you admit it. I got the proof right here.
You're just wasting your time.
I don't think so. Wait. Just a second, Ken.
Great Scott.
What's that noise?
It's my belt, my detector.
Your what?
My detector belt. There's kryptonite around here. Atomic energy. But where? I can't see it. I'm beginning to feel it, but I can't see it.
Staring about wildly, Clark Kent feels himself growing weak as the emanations of the kryptonite in the Atom Man's blood reach him through the slightly open closet door behind him. We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But right now, let's stand by for a word from our announcer.
Say, gang, here's something I noticed about those new comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Maybe you've noticed it, too. How every single one of those funny sheet characters looks so doggone happy. Yes, sir. You see, well, you probably noticed the big wide grin on Harold Teen, haven't you? And Lillums and Smitty and Superman, of course. Why, even Orphan Annie's dog Sandy has a smile on his face. Looks so real he could bark hello any minute. Well, you see, these characters are straight from the funny papers, and they're done up in full comic strip colors. Brilliant red and blue and black on a gleaming white background. They really stand out when you pin them on your jacket or dress or cap. Yes, sir, you'll want to collect all 18 of these sturdy metal buttons. And you can, easy as 1, 2, 3. Yet don't send in a single penny, not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy these new comic buttons anywhere. All you do is to make sure Mom gets you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's a colorful, exciting prize. One of these nifty new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, you get these swell prizes only in packages of P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Pretending that he wanted something in his lead-lined clothes closet, Sidney opened the mirrored door a few inches. At once, the special radar-like belt Clark Kent wore sounded a high-pitched warning as it instantly detected the presence of kryptonite in the bloodstream of the Atom Man who was in the closet. Dazed and frightened, Kent stares wildly about.
There's kryptonite around here. But where? I can't see it.
Did you say kryptonite, Kent?
Yes, I can feel it. And my belt detects it. Where is it?
You must be mistaken. There's no kryptonite here.
There is, I tell you. Wait a minute. That closet. I can't see into it. You, Sidney. You tricked me. You must have. In there.
Where are you going?
Must get out of here.
Come on.
You must. Through that window. Up. Up. There's strength going. I can't get up in the air. Up. Up.
The great Superman's wings. Clipped. He can't fly. Come out of the closet, Miller.
Get out.
We were right. Clark Kent is Superman.
Of course he is, didn't I tell you?
Miller.
Yes, and this time you won't escape.
No. Keep away from me. I must get away.
He went through the window.
It's all right. He's on his hands and knees. He can't get away. Come on, through the window after him.
Well, how can I get through a window? I'll use the back door. You go out and hold him, Miller.
I'll hold him, all right.
No, Miller. Keep away.
You got away from me once, but not this time. When I turn the switch on the converter.
No. No.
There. Now, Superman, alias Clark Kent.
No.
You hear my atomic car?
No.
You feel the green lightning?
No.
This is the end of you.
No.
The end.
Triumphantly, his eyes shining like a maniac's, the Atom Man extends his strange metal gloves, laughing wildly as the jagged green sparks of lightning pitchfork into Clark Kent's body and strike him to the earth. Once before, Superman escaped death by a miracle at the fearful hands of the Atom Man. But this time, guided by the shrewd brain of Sidney, a fate has been prepared for him which he himself said was the only way in which he could ever be destroyed. Tomorrow, Superman's life hangs in the balance, so be sure to be with us then. Same time, same station, for a thrill a minute in The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Discovering that Clark Kent is Superman and determined to eliminate him once and for all, Sidney, the international spy who controls Henry Miller, the Nazi atom man, set a deadly trap for the Man of Steel. Informing Kent that he had discovered Superman's true identity, Sidney persuaded Kent to come to his house in the country, where Miller was hidden in a closet lined with lead, the one substance Superman's X-ray vision and kryptonite cannot penetrate. When Sidney opened the closet door, the emanations of the kryptonite in Miller's veins dazed and weakened Kent. Attempting to escape, he crashed through a window, but fell to his knees on the lawn outside. As we continue now in the darkness, the Atom Man stands over Kent, arms extended. Jagged green sparks, like miniature lightning bolts, leap from his metal-gloved fingers to strike his crumpling foe. Listen.
Say your prayers, Kent. This is the end for you and Superman. No. You won't get away this time. I'll finish you now. Finish you for good. Sidney, watch this.
Stop it. Stop it. No. Wasting your atomic power, you fool.
Let go of my arm. Get away from me.
Strike him at the base of the skull and he'll lose consciousness.
I'm going to kill him.
You couldn't kill him before if you'd forgotten. Don't be a fool, Miller. The whole world is ours if only you listen. Strike him at the back of the neck. Just make him lose consciousness, and then we can finish him as we planned.
For a moment, the Atom Man hesitates as the voice of reason slowly penetrates his murder-crazed mind. Clark Kent, struggling vainly as the great strength ebbs from his battered body, hears another voice, his own, speaking to him.
Stop struggling. Pretend to lose consciousness before it's too late. That way you can find out what they're up to. It's your only chance.
Oh. He's unconscious. Turn that thing off. Now, why waste it? Miller, do as I say.
All right.
Now you're using your head. Come on, give me a hand with him. Oh, I'm too weak. I got too excited. Cheeto.
Yes, Master?
Come here. Imagine Superman lying at my feet. I never would have believed it.
What are you going to do with him?
Carry him to the garage.
The garage? Oh, you mean you're going to put him in the car and take him someplace?
No.
Now, Sidney, wait a minute.
Now, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Cheeto?
Yes, Master?
Take our friend Mr. Kent under the shoulders. You take his legs, Miller.
Now, wait a minute.
Do as I say, Miller. And hurry.
You're crazy if you're going to keep him in the garage. Kent might have told someone he was coming here tonight. When they discover he's missing, the police will come here to look for him.
They won't find him. Now carry him to the garage.
Why won't they find him? Don't you think they'll search the garage?
Of course they will. But I still say they won't find him. Now save your breath, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment.
Sometimes I can't figure you out.
Many wiser men than you have said the same thing. That right, Tito?
That is correct, Master.
All right. Here we are. Now inside with him. Set him down. Now close the door, Tito. Turn on the light.
Yes, Master.
I still don't see what you're up to.
Patience, Miller. Remember, I advised you to cultivate more patience. It's a wonderful trait.
I can do without the lectures.
Master, shall I open it now?
If you please, Tito.
Open what?
You'll see.
What's that? The floor's open.
One of the concrete sections is set in a steel frame, which is on rollers.
Well, what's down there?
A comfortably furnished, air-conditioned room. Look down and you'll see it.
Hey, that's not a bad hideaway.
That's a slight understatement. It's an excellent hideaway and a perfect place for our purpose. Now, if you and Gito will carry him down the steps.
Okay. Come on, Gito. Yes, sir.
I'll put the light on down here. the steps, Miller. They're rather steep.
Yeah, this brick is heavy.
He'll be a lot lighter in a month. I'll drop him on the floor near the bunk.
All right. Let him go, Tito.
I never thought I'd see the day when the great Superman was dragged about like a sack of potatoes. Look at him. Going back to the house, he's going to remove all traces of our visit, just in case some of his newspaper friends or the police drop around. Straighten the study, rub all the furniture to remove his fingerprints, and the front doorknob, too.
Yes, master.
Now put a new pane of glass in the window.
Yes, master.
If a car comes into the driveway, let me know at once.
Yes, master. You think of everything, don't you, Sidney?
Attention to details, no matter how trivial they seem, is the secret of my success. Now I'll close the panel above us, and we'll be warm and comfortable. Here we are. You won't mind if I turn the radio on, will you?
Do as you please.
Oh, I hate dance orchestras. Ah, that's better. Does my heart good to see Superman lying there, helpless. You'll find magazines and books on a shelf, Miller. Or if you prefer to go to bed, it's your bunk next to our friend.
You mean I'm going to sleep down here?
Of course you are. And eat and drink, too. Cheeto will bring us our meals. You'll find him an excellent cook.
What's the idea?
Well, you ought to be able to figure that out for yourself. Clark Kent, or Superman, is unconscious, but he isn't dead. Yet. Would be just too bad if he regained consciousness when you weren't here.
Yeah, but I don't want to be cooped up in this underground room. Cheeto can watch him, or you. And if he starts to recover, call me and I'll knock him out again.
We can't take chances like that. Oh, that's lovely music. Besides, I don't want you using up your atomic power knocking him out. The way I look at it, you're close to him at all times. The kryptonite in your veins may be enough to keep him unconscious. Shouldn't take any more than a month or two to finish him.
A month or two?
That's all. A strong man can live a month or more without food, but few of them can live that long without water. Of course, Superman's no ordinary man. It may take 2 months to starve him to death.
But, Sidney,
Oh, stop fretting, Miller. What's a month or two of mild discomfort when we're playing for such high stakes? Once Superman is out of the way, nothing could stop us. We only have to threaten to destroy a large city, or any part of it, and they'll pay us anything we ask. Anything. The world is ours, Miller, now that we've found a way to finish Superman.
Prone on the floor, conscious but unable to move, Clark Kent, who is Superman, feels his blood run cold as he realizes at last the fate in store for him. Desperately, a voice, his own, speaks to him.
They've thought of the one way, the only way you can be destroyed. What will you do? What can you do?
Desperately, Kent's mind races, trying to figure some way out of his seemingly hopeless position.
We'll return in a moment for the climax of today's episode. But first, your announcer.
You know, gang, if Superman or Orphan Annie or Skeezix could walk right out of the funny papers and into your living room, they couldn't seem any more real than they do on those swell new comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Why, Superman is so doggone lifelike with his bright blue jersey and flying red cape. Seems as if any minute he's going to say, up, up, and away. Why, it's no end of fun to trade duplicates with your pals and try to be the first in your gang to collect all 18 different buttons. And the best part is, you don't have to send in a single penny for these slick-looking buttons, not even a box top. You can't even buy them anywhere. They come only in packages of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. So how's about asking Mom to get you some Pep tomorrow? Then see which prize you find inside. One of these exciting new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
3 hours have passed since Clark Kent was trapped by Sidney and the Atom Man, Henry Miller, and brought to the hideout under Sidney's garage. He lies helpless, his eyes closed, feigning unconsciousness at the foot of Henry Miller's bunk. Sidney seems content with his inactivity. He reads the newspapers, listens to the radio, eats almost constantly. But Miller, the Atom Man, becomes more and more restless and paces the floor nervously.
For heaven's sake, must you have that confounded radio on all the time, Sidney?
I like music. It's very, very soothing.
It doesn't soothe me. It's driving me crazy. This place is driving me crazy, cooped up here hour after hour. I can't stand it.
Control yourself, Miller.
If you tell me that once more, Sidney,
You will do nothing. Now sit down.
I'm sick of reading. Anyhow, I don't like to read. I'm a man of action. Now look, Kent hasn't stirred a finger for 3 hours since we brought him down here. Why can't I take a walk around the ground?
You know why? I believe the kryptonite in your veins keeps him unconscious. He might come to if you leave.
All you have to do is to call out. I'll be nearby.
I told you we can't take that chance. He might get away in a couple of minutes that he took you to return.
It's ridiculous. You can see for yourself he's in a coma.
And that's the way we're going to keep him until he dies of starvation. Now behave yourself. Learn discipline. Look at me. I'm not fretting.
You're so lazy you don't want to move. But I've got to keep going. I've got to do things I always did. And now since the kryptonite was injected into me, it's worse.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what makes me so nervous.
Control yourself.
There you go again. I can't stand it, I tell you.
You will stand it and like it.
No, Sidney!
I said you will. You're playing for the future of Germany. I for the only thing I love in the world, money. You're not going to spoil it for either of us. Now sit down. Sit down, I said.
Sullenly, the Atom Man bows to the stronger will of the sinister Sidney, snatches a newspaper, sits down. Clark Kent's last hope that the Atom Man will leave the underground hideout flickers and dies. Now what will happen? Don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode, fellows and girls, when something unexpected takes place. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Suspecting the truth that Clark Kent is Superman, a cunning international spy known only as Sidney arranged for Kent to come to his country house. In a closet lined with lead, the one substance Superman's X-ray vision cannot penetrate, Henry Miller, the deadly Atom Man, waited. When Sidney, conversing with Kent, opened the closet door, the effect of the kryptonite solution in Miller's veins overpowered Kent. Convinced that the Daily Planet reporter and Superman were one and the same person, Sidney and Miller removed him to a secret hideout under the garage, where they planned to keep him in a coma until he either starved to death or died of thirst. As we continue now, 3 days have gone by, during which time, of course, Kent has been missing from the offices of the Daily Planet. Worried, Jimmy Olsen and Candy Myers, a private detective, are searching his Metropolis apartment. Listen.
We've already gone through Mr. Kent's apartment, Candy, and so have the police. We're just wasting time.
You got any better ideas, Jim?
Well, oh, no.
Okay. Now, let's get back to the beginning. You saw him last.
I've already told you about that.
Tell me again. And don't leave anything out. Not anything.
Well, it was 3 days ago. Or nights, rather. Mr. Kent got back to the office about 7:30.
Did he say where he'd been?
No, he just asked me what Inspector Henderson and you had found out about that Mr. Sidney.
Yeah.
I told him, and he seemed kind of relieved. Then he said he had an appointment, so he couldn't have dinner with me. I went out, and, well, that's the last time I ever saw him.
You're sure he didn't say where his appointment was?
Oh, I'm positive.
And he wasn't working on any special story?
No, he'd been sick. He just got back from Florida that very day.
Yeah, I know. Had anyone been looking for him while he was gone?
Just Dr. Millison, the scientist. But I told you and Inspector Henderson about that.
Yeah, Millicent said he hadn't seen Kent. Let's see now. After he got back from Florida, as far as you know, the only person he saw was Sidney.
Uh-huh. And when Sidney left, Mr. Kent got all excited. He told me to have Inspector Henderson shoot a fingerprint man right over and for me to call you. Then he rushed out and he didn't get back until 7:30.
I wonder why he was so interested in Sidney.
I don't know, but considering how relieved he was when I told him what you'd found out, that Sidney was just a respectable retired businessman, I figure he must have mistaken Sidney for somebody else.
Could be. I'll check. Maybe they got some more dope.
Who? Dope about what?
My office, on Sidney. I told him to keep digging.
Oh, what for? Even the FBI gave him a clean bill of health.
So what? You can't lose anything by trying. Oh, hello, Mary? Put Eddie on. Oh, I see. Uh-huh. Did he come up with anything on that Sidney character? Yeah, I'll hold on.
Anything doing, Candy?
Yeah, she's checking. The guy I put on the case is out. Yeah, go ahead, Mary. What's that? Give me that again. Wow. That sounds good. Tell him to stay on it. I'll check with you later. Okay. So long.
What'd they find out?
The Justice Department just slapped one of those show cause where you shouldn't be closed up papers on the Metropolis Import Glass Company. That's the outfit our friend Sidney was tied up with. The Justice Department found out they were hooked up with a big German outfit.
Oh, gee whiz.
Come on, Jim.
Where?
I want to have a talk with Sidney. Maybe he's not the nice, respectable party he makes himself out to be.
Maybe he's a big shot Nazi, huh? And Mr. Kent found it out?
Could be. Where's that automatic elevator? I never can tell the door from the apartment.
Oh, it's right over here. Yeah, and the elevator's waiting for
Good. Come on. Push the lobby button.
Okay.
Keep your fingers crossed, Jim. I got a hunch we're on the right track.
Closer to the truth than they realize, Jimmy and Candy Myers leave the apartment building and step into the private detective's car. A short time later, in the secret cellar under his garage, Sidney kneels on the floor next to the motionless figure of Superman, who, in Clark Kent's clothing, his eyes closed, still retains consciousness, but is unable to move a muscle under the weakening spell of the kryptonite in the Atom Man's blood. Across the small room, a radio plays symphonic music. Miller, the Atom Man, nervous and jumpy, paces the floor. Suddenly he stops, and his thin lips curl in an ugly snarl.
Isn't he dead yet, Sidney?
No, his pulse is weaker and he's lost weight, as you can see, but it takes longer than 3 days to starve a man to death. And this is no ordinary man.
Has it only been 3 days? It seems like 3 years cooped up in this rat hole. How long is it going to take?
I told you a month, perhaps 2.
I can't stand it that long. I'll go crazy. I'm a man of action. I've got to be doing things. I was always like that, and now it's worse. The kryptonite in my blood makes me nervous.
Soon you will be doing things, big things.
Sure, but when?
As soon as our friend here breathes his last.
I'll make him breathe his last. I'll turn on my atomic power.
Oh, no, you fool. How many times must I tell you there's no more kryptonite? How do you expect to accomplish your ambitious desire if you exhaust all your atomic power on Superman?
I guess you're right.
Of course I am. Sit down now. Control yourself.
I could just take a walk around the grounds.
No, you gotta be here every second to make sure Kent doesn't regain consciousness. Now sit down.
What's that?
Now relax. It's only Shito telephoning from the house. For heaven's sake, compose yourself. Yes, Shito, yes.
2 gentlemen here wish to see you, Master.
Who are they?
One young newspaper reporter named Olson.
Olson?
Jim Olson, here.
Quiet.
Other name Candy Myers. He no say, but I think he police, Master.
Tell them I'll be there shortly, Shito.
What's Olson doing here? What's he want? What is it? Tell me.
Stop trembling. Beginning to make me nervous. It's a routine call, I imagine, just as we had from the police. Now, Kent's disappeared, and I suppose they're checking on everyone who had contact with him lately. They'll find nothing here.
Where are you going?
To speak to them, of course, but don't worry. They don't have the least suspicion of me. Slide the floor panel shut as soon as you hear me leave the garage. I'll be back shortly.
Confidently, Sidney waddles up the steps through the opening panel in the garage floor, unaware that he is under suspicion. What will this newest development lead to? We'll return in a moment for the dramatic climax of today's episode. But first, your announcer.
You know, I was mighty proud of my pal Eddie the other day. He handled a rather tough problem in a mighty swell way. Now, here's how it happened. Eddie met up with a new kid, young fella who just moved into our neighborhood. And the minute this kid saw Eddie's collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep, he wanted them. Of course, Eddie didn't want to hurt his feelings, and yet Eddie wanted to keep right on wearing his comic buttons pinned on his jacket. So, you know what he did? He gave up 2 of them, and that was mighty generous. Then, he explained how easy it is to get these swell buttons, and he offered to help the new kid get going on his own collection by trading duplicates with him. Well, I thought that was mighty swell, because any fellow or girl has a right to be proud of his collection, because these buttons are so doggone good-looking. Of course, any fellow or girl can collect all 18 different buttons, too. Easy as anything. You don't have to send in any money, not even a box stop. All you do is to ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's a thrilling prize, one of these smart-looking new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Get your prize, gang, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
In the drawing room of his rambling stone and timbered house, Sidney, suave and at ease, sits comfortably on a couch opposite Jimmy Olsen and a hard-eyed Candy Myers.
Yes, I read of Clark Kent's disappearance, and I'm terribly sorry, gentlemen. I only met him once, but I liked him immensely.
Oh, he's the swellest guy who ever lived.
Just a moment, Jim. Mr. Sidney, you say you only met Kent once?
That's right, Mr. Myers. 3 days ago, I think it was. I called on him at the Daily Planet.
What for? If you don't mind telling us.
Not at all. You see, I've retired from business, and I've a lot of time on my hands. I've no family or any other occupations to fill my time, so, as a hobby, I developed an interest in Superman.
Superman?
Yes, young man. Fascinating chap, Superman, don't you think?
Go on, Mr. Sidney. What's that got to do with Kent?
Why, I noticed that the Planet wrote more about Superman than any other paper. And Kent had written many of the stories, so I thought it might be interesting if he and I compared notes, so to speak.
He didn't make a date with you?
No. As a matter of fact, I suggested it, but he said he had a previous engagement. I do hope nothing's happened to it.
Oh, maybe...
Hold it, Jim. You and Kent didn't talk about anything else, Mr. Sidney? Just Superman?
No, not that I remember. My visit was quite brief.
He didn't happen to mention anything about your Nazi connection?
My what?
You know what. A little matter concerning your glass company being tied up with a Nazi firm.
Oh, that.
Yes, that. We think...
Jim, what about that, Sidney?
Well, as a matter of fact, that was the very reason I withdrew from the firm when I did. But they were making the connection with the Nazis then. It was just before the war, and as an American citizen, I disapproved. When they ignored me, I resigned. And as for Mr. Kent, I haven't seen him since that day in his office. Now, does that answer all your questions?
Yes, I guess it does. Come on, Jim. Sorry to have troubled you, Mr. Sidney.
Yeah. So long.
Goodbye, gentlemen. And believe me, I'm terribly sorry I can't help you. I'll show you to the door if you'll just come this way.
Discouraged and heavy-hearted, Candy Myers and Jimmy Olsen leave the suave Sidney's house, unaware that Clark Kent lies helpless almost beneath their very feet. And in the secret cellar, aware that his friends are leaving, Kent strains to give some sign to them, to call out to them, but the frantic words never reach his lips, crying out only in his mind.
Jim, Candy, don't go. I'm here, in a secret room under the garage. Don't go. It's not just my life that's at stake, it's all the civilized world. Don't go. You're my last hope. Candy, Jim, help me. Candy.
Desperately, the man of steel strains to make himself heard, to move, but he cannot. And a moment later, he dimly hears a car drive off, and he knows he has been left to his doom. Is Superman doomed? Is his last hope of life gone? Tomorrow, something startling occurs, fellows and girls. Something you won't want to miss. So tune in then, same time, same station, for another thrilling episode in The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Trapped by the Atom Man and his sinister ally, the fat man known only as Sidney, both of whom are aware he is Superman and plan to starve him to death, Clark Kent lies in a secret cellar under the garage of Sidney's secluded country house. For 3 days and nights, unable to move because of the presence of Henry Miller, the Atom Man, in whose veins runs the deadly kryptonite, Kent still retains consciousness, but grows weaker and weaker. Desperately, he tried to call out to Jimmy Olsen and Private Detective Candy Myers, who came to the house in search of him, but was unable to force any sound past his lips. As we continue now, Sidney has just returned to the cellar. The Atom Man, his nerves near the breaking point, snaps a question at him.
Well, what happened? Oh, relax, my friend, relax.
What did they want? What were they looking for?
They were looking for Clark Kent, of course.
That means they're suspicious. They know Kent came here, when was it, 3 nights ago?
No, they don't.
They must, or else they wouldn't have come here. I don't like this, Sidney. I'm getting out.
Oh, sit down. Sit down and relax. Nothing to worry about. They've gone.
They'll come back. They'll bring more cops. I've got to get out of here.
Oh, don't be a fool, Miller. I said there's nothing to worry about. They've no way of knowing that Kent is here. They don't even know he had an appointment with me the night he disappeared.
Then why did they come here?
My dear fellow, their friend is missing. They're doing everything they can to find him. Olsen knew that I'd called on Kent the day he disappeared. So naturally, they wanted to talk to me, one of the last persons who'd seen him. I assure you, they're now convinced of my complete innocence in the affair.
Maybe not. Olsen is young, but he's smart.
Oh, believe me, he's not half as smart as I am. Now sit down and compose yourself. Here, I brought you the evening papers. You can read all about the latest sensation. The mysterious disappearance of Clark Kent.
I'm sick of reading. I never like to read anyhow. I want to do things. I've got to do things. Can't stand being cooped up in here hour after hour, day after day.
Oh, now, Henry, control yourself.
If you say that just once more,
All right. Let's see how our friend Mr. Kent's getting along. To think that this is the great and powerful Superman, the undefeatable Superman. His pulse is definitely weaker. He's losing weight. I don't think he'll last very much longer.
He's lasted too long already. I can't stand the sight of him. Or of you either.
Evidently, the kryptonite in your blood is making you nervous. Now read your papers and I'll turn on the radio.
No, I don't want to hear any more of that music.
But I do. Frankly, I find it more enjoyable than your stupid conversation.
You're going to say that once too often.
Oh, listen to that disgusting jazz music. When Superman's dead and we are giving orders to the world, I'll have all dance orchestras abolished. Yeah, that's better.
The swine! It must be stopped.
Who must be stopped?
Look, it's in the paper. The Allies have blown up 4 more of our largest factories.
Now, stop exciting yourself.
And another thing. They're beginning the trials of our leaders. Goering, von Ribbentrop, Keitel, von Papen. Our greatest heroes on trial for their lives like common criminals.
They weren't smart enough. They held out too long. They should have gotten rid of Hitler and made peace. Then they'd still have their freedom and their money. It's getting late. Why don't you go to bed?
I'm not sleepy. I'm never sleepy anymore. I need exercise, fresh air and exercise.
Oh, this room's air-conditioned.
It's too small. It's closed in. I'm like a lion in a cage. Look, Sidney, if I went outside and walked for just 10 minutes, I'd feel...
No. Suppose Kent regained consciousness while you were out.
He won't. Look how still he is, like he's dead.
You thought he was dead when you buried him on the beach that time, but he revived. No, you won't stir from this room until Kent breathes his last, and that's final.
I could kill you very easily, you know.
Oh, yes, but you won't. I'm much too valuable to you. You've no brains, and you know it. You need me to direct you.
That's what you think.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important announcement.
Shut that radio!
Fire!
There is still no news of Clark Kent, star reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, who disappeared mysteriously 3 days ago.
Quite right, my friend.
Late this afternoon, Perry White, editor of the Planet, announced that he has increased the reward to $25,000 for any information leading to the discovery of Kent's whereabouts. We will continue to interrupt all programs to bring you any further development. We now return you to the evening hour of immortal music.
Wouldn't Perry White be surprised if he knew he was offering a reward for Superman?
I don't like this, Sidney. $25,000 is a lot of money. Everyone will be looking for Kent. Police, private detectives, they'll come snooping around here.
Well, let them come. What good would it do them? They couldn't find this hideout in 100 years. Now, for heaven's sake, stop fretting and fidgeting. Let me read my paper and you read yours.
Dirty fat swine. Sidney.
Oh, now what?
Listen to this. Listen, it says a group of American scientists believe that they will soon have a defense against atomic energy.
It'll take a long time.
How do you know it will?
Well, everyone knows it. Took years to make the first atomic bomb, even after they'd learned how to split the atom. It'll take years more to find a defense against.
Maybe not. They might find it any day, any hour. Then where'll I be?
You're worrying about nothing.
Am I? It's Suppose it happened while I'm sitting here in your rotten cellar waiting for Kent to die. Then it'll be too late. Instead of my being able to destroy Germany's enemies, they'll destroy me.
I tell you, you're worrying about nothing. Kent will be dead in a few weeks.
You're not sure of that. He's Superman, you know. Maybe he'll last for months, for a year.
Ridiculous. No man can live without food and water for long.
No man can fly either, or move mountains, or withstand atomic energy, but he can. I've made up my mind, Sidney. I'm getting out of here tonight.
Oh, no, you're not.
I am. It's too risky to stay here any longer. I've got to make use of my atomic power before they find a defense against it.
What about Superman?
It took him days to revive after our last fight. Now we've been starving him. It'll take him longer to revive, if he does. By that time, I'll have conquered the world. And then if he dares to meet me again, let him. Where's the button that opens the ceiling panel? Oh, here.
Now, don't touch it, Miller.
Try and stop me.
Don't touch that button, or I'll shoot.
What?
One step more, Miller, and you are a dead man.
Whirling about furiously, the Atom Man stops short at the sight of the snub-nosed pistol in Sidney's pudgy hand. Conscious but helpless, Superman waits tensely. If the Atom Man dies, Superman may still live. We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But right now, let's hear from our announcer.
Fellows and girls, I'm sure that if I asked you, you could tell me dozens of things that Thanksgiving Day stands for, like the courage of the Pilgrims and their happiness at finding a free land to live in. But I wonder, have you stopped to think of how many millions of things you have to be grateful for on Thanksgiving Day or any other day of the year? Here in America, we have warm, comfortable homes and clothes. We have good things to eat. We have games and sports and friends. So many things that we just take for granted, which young people in other countries are having to do without. Yes, gang, it's a good country we live in, and it's a good life we live in it. That's what we mean by Thanksgiving. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
In the secret cellar where Clark Kent lies helpless, chained by the power of the kryptonite in Henry Miller's veins, the Atom Man and his sinister ally, Sidney, have clashed. Attempting to leave the hideout, Miller was stopped by the threat of a pistol in Sidney's hand.
One step more, Miller, and I'll shoot.
You wouldn't dare.
Wouldn't I? I'm playing for millions, not pennies. Do you think I let a stupid, hot-headed young fool like you cheat me out of it? Now get into that bunk and go to sleep. You're not leaving here until Kent is dead. I said get into that bunk.
All right. You win. This time.
You'll find that I win every time.
All right. You going to sleep?
Perhaps not.
Turn the radio off. I can't sleep with that music playing.
Well, now you're talking sense.
I always talk sense.
Yeah. You'd ruin everything if not for me. You'd exhaust your power on Superman the way you did the last time, and then where would you be?
Maybe you're right.
Of course I'm right. Now go to sleep. Go on. Go to sleep. Remember, in case you get any more stupid ideas, that I'll be watching you. And I can shoot the head off a match at 40 paces.
It won't happen again. Good night.
Good night.
Climbing into the bunk, Henry Miller lies on his back in the shadows, his eyes almost closed. Across the room, Sidney sits wedged in a chair, an open book on his fat knees, the snub-nosed pistol on the table at his elbow. Occasionally, as he turns a page, his sharp little eyes in their deep pouches turn toward the Atom Man. All is silent save for the ticking of a clock on the shelf. A half hour passes. An hour. Sidney's head nods toward his chest. There is a stealthy movement in the bunk, and Sidney's head comes up sharply. His hand reaches for the pistol.
Miller! Miller!
For a long moment, Sidney's sharp little eyes watch the bunk in the shadows. Then once again he picks up the book and forces himself to read. 5 minutes pass. 10. His head nods. Shortly his eyes close, and soon his deep breathing indicates he is asleep. Relaxed, the book drops from his knees to the floor without disturbing him. For a time there is no sound in the room except Sidney's heavy breathing, the rhythmic ticking of the clock. Then suddenly Miller, the Atom Man, slowly, with infinite care, places first one foot and then the other on the floor. In the half-darkness his eyes gleam like a jungle cat's as he takes one cautious step, and then another, toward the sleeping Sidney. Half stumbling over the body of Clark Kent, he stands frozen, his eyes pinned on the sleeping fat man. Sidney stirs but does not awaken, and again the Atom Man resumes his slow, silent inching across the room. His progress noted tensely by Kent, who realizes that the next few seconds will determine whether he, Superman, lives or dies. Only a few feet from his fat ally now, the Atom Man coils himself to spring, and in that moment Sidney lifts his head, his eyes open, and he snatches for his revolver.
No, you don't, Miller.
Furiously, Sidney and the Atom Man tangle, overturning the chair and crashing to the floor. This is a battle to the death with Superman's life hanging in the balance. Don't fail to listen tomorrow, same time, same station, to the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
In a cellar under the garage of a secluded country house, Clark Kent lies powerless at the feet of Henry Miller, the Nazi atom man, in whose veins runs a solution of kryptonite, the one substance that robs Superman of his strength and power. Aware that Kent is, in reality, Superman, Miller and Sidney, his sinister ally, planned to starve him to death. After 3 days, however, alarmed by a newspaper report that scientists were working on a defense against atomic power, Miller attempted to leave the hideout. Sidney stopped him at gunpoint. But that night, when the fat man dozed, Miller attacked him. The two conspirators grappled, and as we continue now, the younger, stronger Miller has kicked Sidney's gun across the room and clasped the electronic converter around his throat, which transforms him into an atom man. As the horrified Sidney staggers to his feet, Miller, a maniacal smile curling his thin lips, pulls on his strange meshed metal gloves. Listen.
Now, Sidney, now tell me who's master.
Take that converter off, Miller.
I like to see your fat body shake with fear.
No. You need me. You can't do without me.
What do I need you for, you fat
Miller?
Go on and beg for your life, Sidney. I've waited a long time for this moment.
No, I'm just trying to show you that you can't afford to do away with me. You've forgotten about Clark Kent? Forgotten that he's Superman? He'll regain consciousness when you leave and come after you.
Even if he recovers, he can't stand up against my atomic power.
But he can make you exhaust all your power on him, as he did that time on the beach. Then what do?
I'll have to take that chance. I can't stay here until he dies of starvation. It might take months. And in that time, those American scientists may perfect their defense against atomic power.
But if you work with me, you won't have to fear the American scientists or Superman either.
Why not?
Because I know where there's more kryptonite.
What? More kryptonite?
Yes. So even if you're forced to destroy a dozen cities and fight Superman again, you'll still have all the atomic power you need.
You're lying to try to save your skin.
No. I'm telling you the truth because I have to. The Scarlet Widow cut up the original kryptonite fragment into 4 pieces. 4? Yes. Teufel stole 1 piece, which your father dissolved in Germany and injected into your veins.
And you bought the 2nd piece from the Widow, which is dissolved and in my veins right now. That's all there is. You said so when you got it.
I tell you, there are 2 other pieces.
You're lying.
It's the truth. I can prove it.
You can? Prove it, then. Where are they?
Oh, no, my friend. I'm not so stupid as to tell you now. You'd finish me off, then get the kryptonite yourself. Take off that converter and those gloves, and we'll do business again.
You must really think I'm a fool. Even if there is more kryptonite.
There is! There are 2 pieces of it.
I don't believe it. But even if there is, and if I let you live, you wouldn't get it for me.
Of course I will.
Oh, no. I know what's in that twisted brain of yours, Sidney. You're afraid of me now. So the first chance you got, you'd kill me, steal my converter and gloves, and inject the kryptonite into someone else. Someone you could control.
You're wrong. I wouldn't do anything like that.
No, you don't back up to that gun.
I'm not. You've got to listen to me, Miller.
Don't back up, I said.
All right. I just wanted to get to this phone.
Drop that phone.
Take off your gloves first, quick, or I'll have Gito call the police. They'll surround the place and shoot you.
They will, eh?
Don't! No, don't touch the converter.
Yes, Master.
I've already thrown the switch. Can't you tell by my voice? In a moment, Sidney, when my atomic power builds up...
No, don't, Billy, don't.
Please.
For the love of heaven, don't.
So Something is wrong, Master.
I'm ready. Here comes the green lightning. Oh, goodbye, Sidney. No, please. Ah! That's the end of him. There. No use wasting my power. Now to get out of here. Let's see, I want the officer's cap and the overcoat. It was nice of Sidney to produce the coat and to dye my hair. There, I'm ready. See, the panel is opening.
Master, what's wrong?
It's Cheeto. I better take care of him.
Master, what happened? Oh, you killed Master. I fixed it.
That knife won't help you. Say your prayers, Cheeto.
Oh!
That finishes Cheeto. Now I'll give Kent a little more atomic power to make sure that he can't interfere with me tonight. Now I can go. Goodbye, Sidney! Goodbye, Superman! Happy dreams! I'll fix things so you won't be disturbed.
Laughing triumphantly, the Atom Man throws a hidden switch and watches a heavy concrete section of the garage floor slide closed, entombing the unconscious Superman with the bodies of Sidney and Cheeto. Then, stepping into Sidney's black sedan, he drives swiftly to Highway 33, leading to Metropolis. We'll return in a moment for the dramatic climax of today's episode. But right now, let's hear from our announcer.
Say, I'll bet you're having a good time on your holiday from school, gang. And I'll bet you're having a swell time working on your collection of those new comic buttons that come in packages of Kellogg's Pep. Aren't those buttons a knockout? Bright, sparkling comic strip colors on sturdy metal enameled clear white, so that the pictures of your favorite funny sheet friends stand out like anything. Take Orphan Annie's dog Sandy, for instance. Boy, he looks so real he could bark. Or Smokey Stover in his fireman's cap and uniform. Or Superman himself with his bright red cape flying in the wind. Why, these buttons look as natural as the characters themselves. And what fun it is to add to your collection by swapping duplicates with your friends, to compare notes on who has collected the most. You really feel like strutting around when you have your buttons pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. And they're so easy to get. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. You just ask Mom to get you plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's an exclusive prize. One of those slick new comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
It is almost an hour since Henry Miller, the Atom Man, left Sidney's garage in the dead spy's car and headed for Metropolis, 55 miles away. Now, weak from the effects of Miller's atomic power and from hunger and thirst, Clark Kent, who is Superman, finally manages to struggle to one knee, and then with great effort to his feet. Staggering, bracing himself against the wall, he makes his way one step at a time to the small switch controlling the sliding section of the concrete garage floor above his head.
Must get the phone. Call Inspector Henderson. Stop Miller. Too weak yet. This switch. I've got to throw it. There. Something's wrong. Ceiling doesn't open. Try again. It still won't open. Oh, I see. Miller pulled wires out in garage. I have to get up steps. Break through the floor if I can. Oh, I'm so weak. But I have to. There. Now. Break through. Oh. Try again. Oh, once more. Oh, didn't even crack it. Oh, I can't do it. No strength. But have to warn Henderson. Tell him Miller's hair dyed. Wearing army officer's cap and coat. Must break through.
His haggard face drawn and pale, Superman crouches under the foot-thick concrete floor, pushing his weakened hands and shoulders at it again and again. In vain. Meanwhile, having arrived in darkened Metropolis, Henry Miller is in the phone booth of an all-night drugstore, his stolen officer's cap pulled low over his eyes, his overcoat collar muffling his chin. He has just dialed a number. Now he waits, the ringing of a distant phone in his ears.
Hello? Hello?
Is this the mayor?
Yes, who are you?
This is the Atom Man.
Who?
I said I'm the Atom Man.
The what?
Never mind. I called to warn you that in 2 minutes I'm going to blow up the Metropolis Stadium.
What? Are you out of
You
your...
heard me. In 2 minutes I'll destroy the Metropolis Stadium. I'll call you up later to tell you what's next.
Now look here, young man, if this is your idea of a joke...
If you think it's a joke, keep your ears open, Mr. Mayor.
Wait. So who... What?
Goodbye.
Quickly hanging up the phone, the Atom Man leaves the drugstore and, entering Sydney's black sedan again, drives a few blocks and stops in a dark street. Looming ahead of him is the gray, unlighted bulk of the great Metropolis Stadium. The Atom Man steps from the car, his strange meshed gloves on his hands. A smile curls his thin lips as he reaches inside his turned-up collar for the switch of the electronic converter fastened to his throat. Can nothing stop this madman? Fellows and girls, don't miss Monday's tense, exciting episode when amazing things take place. Tune in, same time, same station, to follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Helpless in the presence of Henry Miller, in whose veins flows the deadly kryptonite which enables him to generate atomic power, Clark Kent, whom Miller knows to be Superman, was being slowly starved to death in a secret cellar. Miller, however, who plans to conquer the world for beaten Germany, became alarmed by a report that American scientists were creating a defense against atomic energy. After eliminating Sidney, his henchman, he departed to attack Metropolis, leaving Kent too weak to escape from his concrete prison. Late that night, a terrific explosion shook the terrified city, and news spread swiftly that the huge stadium, the largest in the world, had been mysteriously destroyed. As all available fire and police equipment was rushed to the scene of the disaster, now only a vast smoking crater, Elbridge Thomas, the mayor of Metropolis, has just returned to his home with Police Inspector Henderson. The two are in the mayor's study. Listen.
There isn't a particle of the stadium left, Inspector. Not a square inch. How did this Atom Man do it?
Well, we're not sure that he did do it, Mr. Mayor.
Well, of course he did. Didn't he call me just before midnight and tell me he was going to destroy the stadium in 2 minutes? It wasn't more than 2 minutes after that the first explosion threw me out of bed.
Yes, I know that.
Now,
but...
don't tell me again that the big gas main might have done it. Runs under Front Street, just north of the stadium, and it wasn't touched.
Yes, I know.
And neither your men nor the fire department nor anyone else has been able to find trace of bombs or mines. Besides, no ordinary explosive could have obliterated that huge place so completely. As if an earthquake swallowed it, or an atomic bomb.
Oh, now, let's not lose our heads, sir. We know it wasn't an earthquake. As for atomic bombs, well, that's out of the question. The atom bomb's the most carefully guarded secret in the world.
He might have got a hold of one somehow. Inspector, you've got to find him. He said the stadium was only the beginning, that he was going to destroy the entire city, piece by piece.
Well, how are we going to find him? We don't know who he is or even what he looks like. Our only hope is that he'll telephone you again tonight as he said he would. And if he does, we can trace the call. I've got men at the telephone exchanges and squads waiting at all parts of the city so we can cover any position quickly.
If he was clever enough to do what he did tonight, I'm afraid he's too clever to be caught that way. Look, you said the Daily Planet had mentioned something to you about an Atom Man.
Yes, but there's nothing to it. One of their reporters, Clark Kent, had some wild idea that Teufel, the Nazi scientist who was killed by lightning a couple of weeks ago, was able to create a human Atom Man.
He told you that?
Yes, but Kent is always getting some fantastic idea or other. Incidentally, he's been missing for 4 days now. I wonder whether this has any connection with it.
You may have something there. Just possible that Kent was put out of the way before this happened. I suggest you contact Perry White at once.
Oh, we've been looking for him and for Jim Olsen and Miss Lane for the past 2 hours. But they're out somewhere hunting for Kent. So I left orders to bring one and all of them here just as soon as they're found.
Good. Maybe. Come in.
governor's on the wire, Mr. Mayor. Wants to know if there's any further information about the explosion tonight.
Tell him not yet, Harris, and apologize for my not being able to talk to him now. I'm expecting a very important call on my private phone.
Yes, sir. What shall I say to the newspaper reporters? There are about 20 of them waiting for you.
Tell them I'll issue a statement as soon as possible when we've completed our investigation. There's nothing else I can say to them now.
Yes, sir.
Papers are driving me crazy, but I don't dare tell them about the Atom Man. Cause a panic in the city. Inspector, we've got to do something. Why doesn't that fellow call up again? At least there might be a chance of tracing him.
Well, if there is, we'll grab at it.
Who is he? How did he destroy the stadium? What's he after?
Heaven only knows. Now, you'd better sit down and take it easy.
Take it easy. With the papers on my neck, the people in a panic, the governor in Washington demanding an explanation, and this Atom Man threatening to destroy the city. I tell you, Inspector, I'm scared. Oh, now what? Come in.
Mr. Perry White, editor of the Daily Planet, is here to see Inspector Henderson.
Oh, good. Send him right in, please.
Yes, sir. Right in here.
Come on, Olson. Oh, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Or I guess it's good morning.
Hello, Perry.
Hello, Mr. White. Jim?
Hi, Inspector.
I understand you wanted to see us, Inspector.
Yes, I did.
By the way, Mr. Mayor, this is Jim Olson, one of my reporters.
Oh, pleased to meet you, Mr. Mayor.
How are you? Look, Perry, what do you know about the Atom Man?
The Atom Man?
Oh, you mean Henry Miller?
Henry Miller?
Who is he?
He's the Atom Man.
What? Now, wait a minute. Now, look here, Olson.
But he is. Mr. Kent said so.
Kent said that?
Yes, and what's more...
Good heavens, I didn't hear anything about that, Inspector.
No, don't pay any attention to him, Mr. Mayor. You be quiet, Olson.
But they asked me...
Never mind what they asked you.
Just a minute, Perry. This Miller, who is he?
No, he's a young Nazi, apparently, who was working with Teufel. Talked himself into a job as a reporter on my paper.
And he disappeared, just the way Mr. Kent did.
Inspector, are you looking for him?
Of course, but we haven't had any luck.
Good heavens. If Kent and Olson are right, and this fellow does have the secret of atomic power...
Ridiculous.
That would explain what happened at the stadium tonight.
What do you mean?
Olson, I told you to... Hold on. What'd you say about the stadium, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I received a phone call that... No, I can't tell you about.
Now, wait a minute. I think you should. Mr. White and Jim know Miller. And if he is the one who calls himself the Atom Man, and if he phones again, they'll be able to identify his voice.
I don't get it.
You're right, Inspector. Perry, I want your word of honor that what I tell you now won't be repeated or printed until I give my permission. That goes for you too, young man.
Huh? Oh, sure, but
what is it?
Well, just before midnight, I received a phone call on my private wire from a man who said he was the Atom Man.
Leaps.
He warned me that in 2 minutes he was going to destroy the Metropolis Stadium. And not more than 2 minutes after he hung up, that stadium was destroyed.
Leap and lizard.
That isn't all. He said he'd call me again tonight and tell me what he was going to destroy next.
Boy, that's incredible.
I'll bet it was Miller. He's a dirty Nazi and an Atom Man. That would explain how every inch of that big stadium could have been wiped out. Besides...
That might be him now.
Wait a minute. Don't answer yet. Mr. White, Jim, come over here closer to the phone. Hold that receiver away from your ear, Mr. Mayor, so we can hear his voice.
All right. If it is Miller, your men will be trying to trace the call, won't they?
Yes, there's a man in the basement now tapped in on your private wire. He's already flashed a word to every exchange of the city that there's a call coming in. Now just try to keep him talking as long as possible. Stall him all that you can. Okay, answer.
Well, here goes. Hello?
This Mayor Thomas?
Yes, who's calling?
This is the Atom Man.
It's him, Miller.
Quiet, will you? Go ahead, keep him talking.
Who did you say?
You heard me. I said I'm the Atom Man. I kept my promise about the stadium, didn't I? Now listen to me while I tell you what's going to happen next. Before the new day dawns, you will be responsible for a terrible...
Hastily, Perry White, Inspector Henderson, and Jimmy Olsen lean over the mayor's shoulder to hear what Henry Miller, the Atom Man, is about to say. We'll return in a moment to find out what it is. But first, let's stand by for a word from Dan McCullough.
You know, gang, I'll bet you'd have a hard time if someone asked you to pick out your favorite comic button from the new series that now comes in packages of Kellogg's Pep. Maybe you'd say Smokey Stover is the funniest, with his wide, toothless grin and his crazy fireman's cap. And you like K.O. because, well, he's a kind of tough-looking character with his oversized black derby hat. But Superman would probably get the most votes because he's so doggone handsome with his red cape flying in the wind. Of course, no matter which is your favorite, you'll want to collect all 18 different buttons. You'll want the fun of looking for your prize when Mom opens a new package of Pep. And you'll want still more fun trading duplicates with your pals. And you wouldn't want to miss the thrill of wearing your buttons pinned on your jacket or dress or cap so that everybody can see how many you've collected. So how about asking Mom right now to be sure to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get these swell buttons, you know. You don't send in either money or a box top. Ask Mom for P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
In the study of Mayor Thomas's home, Editor Perry White, Police Inspector Henderson, and Jimmy Olsen leaned tensely over the mayor's shoulder to hear the voice of Henry Miller, the Atom Man, at the other end of the wire.
Now get this, Mr. Mayor. Something much worse than what happened to the stadium is going to take place. Unless you do as I say.
Oh, it's Miller, all
Will
right.
you be quiet, Olsen? Well, what about the stadium? And who did you say this was?
Quit stalling. I know you're trying to trace this call,
No,
but it won't do you any good. Now, this is going to be short and sweet. Listen. First, I want you to haul down your dirty American flag from City Hall and raise the German swastika.
What?
Why, that...
Quiet.
Yes. I want to see the swastika over the City Hall when the sun rises. If it's there, I'll call and tell you what to do next. But if it isn't there, everyone in Metropolis will die tomorrow night. If you don't want every man, woman, and child in your city to drown like a rat, you'll do as I say. Goodbye.
No, wait. Hello. Listen. Hello. He hung up. God, are you sure that was Miller?
Oh, sure it was.
Yes.
All right, now we know who he is and what he looks like. Now, if the call was traced, well, that must be headquarters. Let me take it, please. Inspector Henderson speaking.
Now, this is Healy, Inspector.
Yes, Healy, did you trace that call?
Yes, sir. It came from a pay booth in Central Station.
Oh, there'll be a mob there even at this time of night. But hold everyone, Healy. Don't let a soul out of that station until I get there. Hurry.
Okay.
Come on, Mr. White. You too, Jim.
Wait, Inspector. What are you going to do?
Now, Miller called from the Central Station. We've got to get him. I'll let you know what happens. Come on, Mr. White. Jim, let's go.
Followed by Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, Inspector Henderson rushes from the mayor's house. None of them aware that the Atom Man has changed his appearance since he left the Daily Planet. Only Clark Kent knows that, but Kent at this moment is 55 miles away, a prisoner with 2 dead men, Sidney and his servant Gito, in the secret concrete cellar under the garage of Sidney's country house. Weakened by Miller's atomic power and starvation, Kent still feebly throws himself against the thick walls in a hopeless attempt to break through.
I can't go on much longer. I'm too weak. Oh. Unless somebody comes soon, I'll be finished. Someone has to help me. Oh. Only I know about Miller. Only I know. Oh. And I'm almost done for. Oh. I've got to get out of here. I've got...
What will happen? Kent, who is Superman, is nearing death in a concrete tomb. What did Henry Miller mean by his threat to drown everyone in Metropolis? And even if he should be cornered in the Central Station, how can he be taken when he need only lift his hands to destroy the station and everyone in it? Fellows and girls, something startling and surprising happens tomorrow, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Terribly weakened by Henry Miller's strange atomic power and by starvation, Superman in his guise of Clark Kent is dying in a secret cellar. Miller, meanwhile, disguised as an American Army officer, destroyed the huge Metropolis Stadium as his first act in revenging the defeat of Germany. Later that night, he phoned the mayor of Metropolis and, identifying himself as the Atom Man, threatened to destroy the entire city unless the Nazi swastika was raised over City Hall. The police immediately traced the call to the Central Railroad Station, and giving orders that no one be permitted to leave the station, Inspector Henderson hurried there with Jimmy Olsen and Editor Perry White. As we continue now, officers guard every door of the vast railroad terminal as the great crowd of civilians, soldiers, and sailors pass through the main exit in single file,
where Henderson, White, and Jimmy stand with an armed police guard. Listen.
All right, now keep your eyes peeled, Jim. You and Mr. White are the only ones who know Miller, so I'm depending on you to spot him.
We'll spot him, all right. Dirty Nazi. Won't we, Mr. White?
Well, if he's here, we will. He might have gotten away before the police arrived. That's possible, don't you think, Inspector?
Yes, it's possible, of course, but I doubt it. He made his call from a phone booth on the balcony, and my men were here 2 minutes after he hung up.
Maybe we'd be lucky if he did get away.
What are you talking about, Olson?
Well, he's the Atom Man. And...
Hey, not so loud, Jim. We don't want that to get around.
Okay. Golly, if we corner him, all he has to do is shoot that green lightning out of his hands. His atomic power, and he'd blow us in this station to smithereens.
Ah, poppycock.
Yeah, never mind about that now. Just keep looking for him. And don't worry about his blowing us up if we corner him, Jim. Just point him out to me. I'll do the rest.
I'm looking. Looking at everybody coming through. Jeepers.
What's the matter, Jim?
Look, over there. That
That what?
In the Army captain's uniform.
It's Miller?
I think so.
Wait a minute.
Healy! Ross! Grab that Army captain. Oh, Godfrey, I think it is, but... No, it's not.
Well, make up your mind. Is it or isn't it? Jim, is it?
No, I was wrong. Miller has light hair, the color of straw. That fellow's hair is dark.
All right.
Never mind, Healy. Let him go.
Gee, for a minute there, I was sure it was Miller.
You know, Inspector...
What?
It just occurred to me, Miller must know that you're looking for him. It's been in all the papers.
Yeah?
Well, maybe he's walking around disguised.
Gosh, I never thought of that.
Well, it could be. But you fellows know him.
Yeah, but if he's disguised, how could we recognize him?
Well, it's a real art to disguise yourself so perfectly that you can fool people who know you. So let's hope Miller's no expert. Now, just keep looking. We've got to find him. Don't forget what he threatened to do. We're all in danger.
For another long hour, our friends stand at the exit gate, studying the seemingly endless parade of faces moving by. Finally, the crowd passes through. The vast railroad terminal is practically empty, save for officials and police officers. Disappointed, Inspector Henderson, Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen enter a police car and are driven swiftly back to Mayor Thomas's house, just as dawn breaks over the city. In his study, his face haggard with worry, the mayor greets them.
Well, Inspector, did you get him?
No, sir. No, he got away.
Oh, I was afraid you would. Now what'll we do? He told me if the swastika is flying over City Hall when the sun rises, he'll destroy Metropolis.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, jeepers, the sun will be up in a few minutes.
Now, look, Mayor, it's one thing to say that you're going to destroy Metropolis and another thing to be able to do it.
It's no use trying to ignore the facts, Perry. We face a terrible situation.
Now, don't tell me that you believe that nonsense about Miller being an atom man.
Well, frankly, I don't know what to believe. Nelson of the fire department and 2 FBI investigators were just here.
Oh? Now, what did they say?
They just come from the scene of the explosion. Worked there all night. They weren't able to find any evidence of bombs or mines or any usual forms of explosives had been used.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, Miller did it with his atomic power.
Olsen.
But, Chief, if he didn't use bombs or mines, how else could he?
That's for someone with more sense than you to figure out. And unless you can keep your oversized mouth shut, you're going out of here on your
Now,
ear.
please, gentlemen, this is no time for quarreling. The Atom Man is still at large. Said he'd call me again if the swastika wasn't flying over the City Hall by sunrise. And since it won't be...
You bet it won't.
Well, we've got to prepare ourselves.
Prepare ourselves for what? Personally, I think he's bluffing.
Well, he wasn't bluffing about destroying the stadium, Mr. White.
There's a difference between a stadium and a city, Inspector. I'll grant that he may have some new explosive, but you can't make me believe that a human being can generate atomic power with his own body.
That may be Miller now.
Are your men ready to trace the call, Inspector?
Yes, of course. Now, if it is the Atom Man, keep him talking just as long as you can.
I know. I'll hold the receiver away so you can all hear. Hello?
This is the Atom Man.
What? Who did you say?
Quit stalling. Traced my last call and couldn't find me. Take my advice and don't try it again.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Tell young Olsen he's lucky he changed his mind about the Army captain. If he hadn't, I would have blown everyone in that station to kingdom come.
Leaps, it was him in the station.
Did you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, but, I don't understand.
You understand, all right. Don't waste time rounding up all the Army captains in town. I'm not in disguise anymore.
Now, look here.
I'm giving the orders now, Mr. Mayor. You disobeyed my first one about raising the German swastika over City Hall. So tonight, every man, woman, and child in your city will drown like a rat.
Gosh.
Why, that dirty...
Tell him he's bluffing.
You're bluffing.
Oh, am I? You'll find out tonight. You haven't a chance. Nobody can save you. Not even Superman.
Gosh.
Keep him talking.
Well, what did you say about Superman?
I said he can't save you. because he's dying.
Superman
I
dying?
don't believe. Do you expect me to believe that?
Take my word for it. Or better yet, ask Clark Kent.
Kent?
Or ask Sidney. He got in my way, too.
Sidney?
Sure. Ask Kent and Sidney. They can tell you anything you want to know about me. Well, that'll be all, Your Honor. So long. And don't forget your water wings tonight.
Wait, listen. Hello. He hung up.
Gosh, what did he mean about Superman dying?
He's crazy. He's out of his mind.
Well, wait a minute, I'll take it. It's headquarters on Miller's call. Henderson speaking.
Healy, Inspector, on that call.
Yes, Healy. Did you trace it?
Yes, sir.
Good. Where'd it come from?
The pay station at Oak and 39th. We radioed the patrol car nearest there and sent it right out.
Good. I'll hop right over. Call the car again, Healy, and tell them not to take any chances. Shoot to kill on sight. The man is a maniac.
Yes, sir.
Well, they traced the call. I'm going out there right now. I'll call you back, Mr. Mayor. Right. Good luck.
Oh, wait, Inspector. Miller said something about Mr. Kent.
Now, there's no time for Kent now, Jim. Later on.
But Kent may be able to help us. He knew about Miller, and he was investigating Sidney, the fellow Miller mentioned.
Now, look, Mr. White. I hate to say this, but the chances are, from what Miller just said, that Kent and Sidney got in his way. They probably found out something about him, and, well, he finished them off.
What? Finished Kent?
Oh, no.
I'm afraid so. Well, I'll see you all later.
Later, my eye. Come on, Jim.
Huh? Where?
Where to look for Kent, of course. We're going to that fellow Sidney's house. I'll get to the bottom of this if it kills me.
Grimly, Perry White and Jimmy Olsen leave the mayor's house to follow the Atom Man's own boastful clue to Clark Kent. Will they find him in the secret cellar beneath Sidney's garage? We'll return in a moment to find out. But right now, here's Dan McCullough to tell you something mighty interesting.
You know, my young pal Eddie walked right by me yesterday and didn't even speak. I couldn't figure out what was the matter with him, so I called, "Hey, Eddie, what's up?" And he looked so surprised. Why, he hadn't even seen me. You see, he was on his way over to Pee-wee's house to trade a duplicate comic button he just got from a package of Kellogg's Pep for a duplicate button Pee-wee had. And he was so wrapped up in thinking about how swell it would be to add another to his collection that, well, he just wasn't paying any attention to anything else. I guess all you fellows and girls get that excited when you get a new comic button for your collection, because they're so doggone good-looking. Bright red and black and blue on gleaming white enamel. Really looks smart pinned on your jacket or dress or cap. And aren't you glad they're so easy to get? Why, you don't send in a single penny, not even a box top. All you do is to ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside every package, there's an exclusive prize. One of these nifty new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. It's your prize, gang, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Picking up Clark Kent's friend, Private Detective Candy Myers, Perry White and Jimmy Olsen drove to Sidney's house in the country, where in a secret thick-walled cellar beneath the garage, Clark Kent is near death from the effects of Miller's atomic power and starvation. As we continue now, early in the morning, our three friends have vainly searched the dead Sidney's empty house. Candy Myers has stopped to telephone Metropolis, as White and Jimmy, deeply discouraged, walk across the lawn to their car.
Well, that's that, Jim.
Yeah, I guess so. I was sure we were going to find Mr. Kent.
Well, I hate to admit it, but Inspector Henderson was probably right. Kent and Sidney were probably both finished by Miller.
Gosh, I don't want to believe it, but... Wait. What's that?
What?
I hear a kind of thumping noise.
Yes. Yeah, it seems to be coming from the garage.
But the garage is empty. We checked it.
It's not empty now. Come on, let's take a look.
Okay. Where's that thumping coming from?
Coming from below us.
Oh, how could it? The garage is set away from the house. There's no cellar or anything under it.
Oh. Strange, Jim. Very strange. I wonder what's causing that noise.
Puzzled, Perry White and Jimmy Olsen stand in the garage, unaware that Clark Kent, who is Superman, is immediately below them, hurling himself weakly against the thick concrete walls, calling to them through dry, thirst-parched lips.
Oh, Jim. Chief. I'm right here, under the garage. There's a secret panel in the floor. Don't go away. No, you've got to help me. You've got to. Jim. Chief. I'm right here. Help me. Help me.
Desperately, Kent calls again and again to his puzzled friends, but his once powerful voice is weak and unheard. What will happen? Will they discover the secret basement in time to rescue Kent? In time to stop the Atom Man who has doomed all of Metropolis? Don't miss tomorrow's thrilling episode, fellows and girls. Tune in, same time, same station, to hear the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Weakened by Henry Miller's atomic power, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, is dying of thirst and starvation in a secret cellar under the garage of a country house owned by the late Sidney, Miller's henchman. Meanwhile, as his first step in avenging the defeat of Germany, Miller, the Atom Man, destroyed the huge Metropolis Stadium, then phoned Mayor Thomas, threatening to destroy the rest of the city that night in a last desperate effort to locate Clark Kent. Editor Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Private Detective Candy Myers hurried to Sidney's country house, only to find it empty. But as White and Jimmy were leaving the house, they heard faint thumping sounds coming from the garage. As we continue now, they are in the garage, unaware that Kent is imprisoned beneath their very feet, trying desperately to attract their attention by pounding his weakened body against a concrete trapdoor. Listen.
Well, where's that noise coming from, Mr. White?
Seems to be coming from under the floor.
Yeah, it does. You think maybe there's a basement or something under the garage?
I doubt it. Why would anyone build a basement under a garage? Anyway, there are no steps.
The noise stopped.
I wonder if... Oh, of course. Are we dumb?
Oh, what do you mean?
It's the heating system.
The heating system?
Sure, the steam heat coming up in the pipes. Pounds like that when it builds up. See? These pipes along the wall heat the garage. They come from under the floor. Lead from the house. Yeah. Getting hot now.
Yeah, but the house is empty. Nobody's here. Who's making steam?
You ever hear of a thermostat?
Oh, you mean that gadget you've got in your house?
That's right. You set it at night, start the heat at a certain time in the morning. Works automatically. Well, there's only more to be done here. Come on. We'll get Myers. Go back to town.
Yeah, we might as well. When I first heard that noise, I thought sure it was someone trying to signal us. Maybe even Mr. Kent.
Yeah, no such luck. I'm afraid Inspector Henderson was right, Jim.
You mean about Mr. Kent meeting up with Miller, the Atom Man?
Yes. Kent probably found out too much about Miller, and he... Well, you know the rest.
Oh, golly, I hope not.
Yeah, here's the car. Where's Myers?
I guess he's still in the house.
Oh, what for? We went through it from attic to basement and couldn't find anything.
Well, he said he wanted to call his office. He sent a man over to check on Sidney's apartment before we left.
I'm afraid that'll be a wild goose chase, too. Well, come on. We'll get Myers and start for home. I'd like to know if Inspector Henderson had any luck tracing Miller.
Well, if he didn't, it's going to be just too bad for us tonight. Miller said...
I know what he said. Open the door. It's unlocked.
Okay.
Oh, Myers! Myers, where are you? Oh, now what happened to him? Close the door, Olsen.
Hey, Candy!
Okay, Jim, I'm coming. Well, what are you wasting time here for? Come on, let's get back to Metropolis.
Might as well. Sure drew a blank here.
Oh, did your man find anything at Sidney's apartment, Candy?
No soap there either. The apartment's empty, and the doorman and the elevator boys say they haven't seen our fat friend for a week.
Well, come on. I want to find out if Inspector Henderson had any luck.
He didn't. I checked. Miller called up from a cheap hotel on Grand Street, but he was gone by the time the Tops got there.
Oh.
Cheapers. Then he's still losing. And tonight...
Will you stop talking about tonight?
But he said...
He said. If you don't stop repeating that, I don't know what I'll do. Now, come on, both of you.
Yeah, let's go, Jim. This clue is a false alarm. Afraid it's all up with poor Kent.
Yeah, with us too, tonight.
Olsen, for the last time, will you...
What's that?
Sounds like a buzzer.
It is a buzzer.
Maybe somebody's at the door. Wait a minute. No, nobody out here.
Oh, maybe it's the back door.
Could be. Come on. We'll go see. Okay, we're coming.
I didn't hear anyone drive up.
No, neither did I.
Some
guy's in an awful hurry. Here, through the kitchen. How do you like that? Nobody out here either.
That's funny.
Maybe it's the phone. Some people muffle the bell.
This one isn't muffled. I had my office call me back before after they checked with headquarters. And the phone rang.
Well, then what is it?
I don't know. I'm going to find out. Something screwy here. Wait a minute. Seems to be coming from the pantry.
Yeah, it does.
Fine detective you are, Myers. I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, what?
There's a buzzer under the rug in the dining room to call the servant in the kitchen. One of us must have stepped on it and it got caught.
Oh, sure, that's it.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, it's behind this stack of dishes. Look at this.
What?
Where? Jeepers, it's a funny kind of telephone.
That's a house phone. I've got one at my place. Wait. There's nobody in the house but us. And it's buzzing.
Now you're catching on, Mr. White.
Well, then how? Oh, gee whiz, answer it, Candy.
That's just what I'm going to do, chum. Something's wacky here. Hello? Nobody answered. Hello?
Candy. Help.
Huh?
Candy. This is Kent.
Kent. Jumping, Jemima.
Mr. Kent.
Kent, where is he? What the...
Wait, you guys. I can't hear.
Help.
Kent.
Hurry. Candy.
Where are you, Kent? Where are you?
In garage.
What garage?
Sleeps.
Quiet, Jim. Go on, Kent. Tell me, what garage?
Right here. Sydney. Garage.
You're in Sydney's garage.
Well, he can't be.
It's empty. We can see it from here.
Yes.
Now, look, Kent. Try hard to
Right
tell me.
Here. Hurry.
Kent.
What's the matter?
Sounded like he passed out. Come on.
For where?
To the garage. He said that's where he is.
But we were just
You
there.
can see it's empty.
Stay here if you want to. I'm going to have a look.
Oh, come on. Let's go with him, Jim.
Gosh, Mr. White, I can't figure this out.
No, neither can I, but at least we know Kent is alive.
Yeah.
Well, where is he?
I don't know. For a phone.
Oh, he must have meant some other garage, Candy.
That's Sydney's garage.
But you can see he's not here, and there's no phone.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Perplexed, Candy Myers, Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen look helplessly at one another. So near and yet so far from Clark Kent.
We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, your announcer.
You know, I heard a bunch of kids in the midst of an argument the other day. They were all talking at once, you know how they do, and each one had a different idea of where is the best place to wear your collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Some said they looked best pinned on your jacket or dress. Others insisted that they belong on your cap. Well, finally, one young fellow said, no matter where you wear 'em, gang, dress or jacket or cap, they're still mighty smooth looking. And is he right? Why, these new comic buttons are really on the beam. Bright comic strip colors on a clear white enameled background. They really show up, and they're so true to life. Smitty and Skeezix and Lillums and Superman and all the others are straight from the funny papers. And to top it all, these nifty new comic buttons are so easy to get. You don't have to send in a single penny, not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy 'em anywhere. You just ask Mom to get you plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Then see which prize you find inside the package. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Trapped in the basement under Sydney's garage, Clark Kent managed to reach a house phone and contacted Candy Myers, who rushed through the garage with Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, only to find it empty. Puzzled, Candy is walking around the small garage, examining the walls.
I can't figure this at all. I'm sure Kent said he was in the garage.
Well, let's not waste any more time, Candy. Call the county police. They can trace the wires and find out where that house phone goes to.
Well, that's a swell idea, Mr. White.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing to do. I can't understand how... Oh, what's this?
What is it, Candy?
These wires. See? They were pulled out of the wall. And look, there's a little fall panel in the wall and a button operating a switch. These wires were attached to it.
Say, that's right.
So what? The button might operate the lights of the garage door.
No, it doesn't. There's the light button over there. The door slides open and shut by hand. Wait till I get my knife. I'll have these wires connected again in half a shake.
No, you're just wasting time.
Maybe so, maybe no. You go back to the house and call the cops. I'm going to see what cooks here.
All right. Come on, Olsen.
Oh, you go ahead, Chief. I'll stay here. Gosh, Candy, what do you suppose this means?
We'll find out in a minute, chum. All we have to do is slip these two wires back, like this. Tighten this screw. There we are. Now we'll push the button and see what gives.
Hey, now blizzards. Look, the floor is opening.
Yeah. That middle section drops down and slides back. Watch it. Watch it. Don't fall in.
Oh, no, look, Candy. There's a room down there. Mr. Kent is lying on the floor.
Yeah. So are two other guys. Jump, Jemima. It's Sidney and his servant. Come on, Jim. Down these stairs.
All right. Golly, what happened?
Plenty. Sidney and the Jap look like they're done for. Here. Let's see about Kent.
How is he?
Ah, not so good. Kent!
Mr. Kent, speak to us. Mr. Kent. Doesn't answer. Look how white he is. Candy, he's dead.
Shocked, Jimmy Olsen and Candy Myers stared down at the pale, motionless figure of Clark Kent. As the terrible plan first conceived by Der Teufel and carried out by the Atom Man and Sidney finally succeeded in eliminating Kent, who, as we all know, is Superman. If it has, who now can challenge Henry Miller's mad scheme to destroy Metropolis and enslave the world? Fellows and girls, don't miss tomorrow's surprising and exciting episode. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Leaving Clark Kent, whom he knows to be Superman, near death in a secret cellar, Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, destroyed the Metropolis Stadium. He then phoned the mayor and threatened to destroy the rest of the great city that night. Miller boasted that Superman was dying and that he had eliminated his former ally, an international spy named Sidney. Editor Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Private Detective Candy Myers hurried to Sidney's deserted country house, where Candy finally discovered the secret concrete room under the garage where Kent was trapped. As we continue now, Candy and Jimmy kneel anxiously beside the unconscious Kent. Nearby lie the bodies of Sidney and his Japanese servant, Jito. Listen.
Mr. Kent, say something. Mr. Kent. He doesn't answer. And look how white he is. Candy, he's dead.
Take it easy, Jim.
He is, I tell you. He... Golly.
Take it easy, I said. Still alive.
Well, he is?
Yeah, but he's in bad shape. Needs a doctor.
Well, where are we going to get one? We're way out in the country.
I know. Look, run back to the house and get some water. Tell Mr. White to phone the nearest town and get a doctor out here. The police, too. Hurry up now.
All right. Okay.
Jim! Candy! Where are you? What the... What's this big hole in the floor? Olsen! Where did you pop up from?
There's a room down there. We found Mr. Kent.
What? Where?
Go down these stairs. I've got to get some water.
Good Godfrey. Candy, is he...
He's alive.
He is? Oh, thank heaven. What's the matter with him?
I don't know. There are no marks on him. But look how thin he is. Like he's been starved.
We've got to get a doctor.
I told Jim to call one.
I called the county police, and maybe they... who are those other two men on the floor?
The fat one is Sidney. The little one is his servant, Jito. They're both done for.
Well, they're blackened. They're charred.
Yeah, but don't ask me what happened. The only thing I can figure out about this whole screwy setup is how Kent tipped us off. There's the phone to the house on the wall there, see?
Yes, but never mind that now. We've got to do something for Kent.
Well, as soon as Jim gets back...
Oh, here he comes now.
Here I am. Did he come too?
No. Let's have that water.
Yeah, okay, here.
Yeah. Now, help me hold up his head, Mr. White.
Yep. Oh, there. All right.
Gosh, he's so thin.
I can't imagine what happened to him.
Come on now, Kent. Try to drink some of this, fella.
I think he's coming to.
Sure he is. Look, he's starting to sit up.
Easy, Kent. Take it easy, boy.
More water.
But you hear that? He's all right. He's all right.
Oh, thank heaven.
Here you are, Kent. Drink it slowly.
Oh, that's good.
How do you feel now?
What happened, Kent?
I'll be all right. Just bring me more water and some food. Been starving almost a week.
Jumping, Jemima. Jim, run back to the house and raid the icebox. Step on it.
Okay. Oh, boy, am I happy.
Candy. What about Miller? Did he?
Don't try to talk yet. You're too weak.
Oh, tell me. Miller said he's going to destroy Metropolis.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight?
No, forget it, Kent. Miller's bluffing.
No, he's not bluffing. He has atomic power. Terrific atomic power.
Now, wait a minute.
Tell you he has, Chief. Look at Sidney there. And Gito. Miller finished them with it.
On the level, Kent?
Yes. And only I know the secret of his power. He wears a little box on his throat. An electronic converter. If I can get that converter, he'll be helpless. Oh, but I'm so weak. I almost died. Miller and Sidney figured out the one way I could be finished.
What are you talking about, Kent?
Oh, he's raving. He's out of his mind.
Oh, I've got to get out of here before it's too late. Come on, help me out. Maybe the fresh air.
Now, wait, Kent.
No, don't argue, Chief. Help me. That's it. Get me outside. And then bring me food and more water. If I can get my strength back before tonight, we'll have a chance to save Metropolis.
Wait, take it easy, Kent. If what you say is true, and Miller has atomic power...
Oh, believe me, he has.
Then the only one who can stop him is Superman.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Come on. Help me up the steps.
Pausing only long enough for Kent to eat some food, our friends drive back to Metropolis. And a short time later, Kent, almost recovered, and Perry White are in the office of Inspector Henderson at police headquarters. Henderson is barking orders over the telephone.
That's right, Donovan. I want every boat except the police launches out of the canal by 5 o'clock this afternoon. And I want big floodlights, plenty of them, lighting up every foot of the banks. You got that? Okay. Check with me later. Well, I'm taking every possible precaution, but I'm afraid it isn't enough. We can't guard every foot of territory along the North Canal, the Metropolis River, and the reservoirs above the city.
What about the Army, Inspector?
Well, they're cooperating, Mr. White. But even so, it's almost a physical impossibility to cover all that territory. Why, he might be disguised as a soldier again, a laborer, even a woman.
I'll know him. Only I see him in time.
Big help you'll be, Kent. Kent, do you have any idea how close the Atom Man has to be to his target to demolish it?
I don't know for a fact, Inspector, but from what I overheard him say, a couple of 100 yards is close enough.
What?
Oh, a couple of 100 yards.
I can't believe it. It's too fantastic. A human being able to generate atomic power? Oh, we're frightening ourselves with a boogeyman.
We can't ignore the facts. Now, as I see it, we're face to face with oblivion tonight.
Unless Superman can stop Miller.
Well, how do you expect to get Superman? Just look him up in the phone book and give him a ring?
Oh, I might not have to do that, Chief.
What do you mean, Kent?
I can't tell you now, but take my word for it.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. This is no time for nonsense. Besides, Miller said Superman was dying.
He was. But he's recovering rapidly. I don't know if he'll be strong enough by tonight to handle the Atom Man in the only way he can be handled, but he's certainly going to try.
Oh, he is. And how do you know?
Well, I know.
How, Kent? Good heavens, man, if you can contact Superman...
I think I can. Goodbye, Inspector.
Goodbye, Kent.
Goodbye, Chief.
What are you shaking hands for?
Well, this may be the last time you see me.
What?
Either Superman or the Atom Man will be finished tonight.
Well, what's that got to do with you?
You'd be surprised.
Come on.
Gravely, Clark Kent leaves Inspector Henderson and Perry White to begin a desperate search for the Atom Man and pit himself once more against the human monster in a final desperate bid for victory. We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, your announcer.
You know, gang, I'm sure you've had lots of prizes, but I'll bet none of them ever gave you as much fun as these swell new comic buttons you're all collecting from packages of Kellogg's Pep. First off, it's mighty exciting to see which button is inside every time Mom opens a new package of Pep. If it's one you don't have yet, maybe Herbie or Winnie Winkle or Superman himself, well, that's a real thrill. And if it's a duplicate, then it's even more fun to trade with your pals. These characters are straight from the funny papers, you know, and they're done up in full comic strip colors. So you'll want to collect all 18 different buttons. Just ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. You just look inside the Pep package, and there you are, a brilliant new comic button, or a military insignia or warplane button. It's your prize from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Twilight is falling over Metropolis. Along the North Canal, which links the Metropolis River with the bay, and along the 21 miles of river itself, police and army personnel are on guard. Giant searchlights sweep the water and its banks, from which mystified civilians have been barred. High in the darkening sky, unseen to all below, Superman hovers, his keen eyes searching. Meanwhile, on one of the many highways climbing the hills to the north of the city, Henry Miller, the Atom Man, wearing cheap clothes, a checked cap, and dark glasses, rides in the front seat of a small delivery truck beside the driver.
Oh, you just got out of the Navy, huh?
That's right. And am I glad to be home?
Sure, I know how you feel. I was in the Army for 3 years myself. Hey, I wonder what's going on in Metropolis tonight. Look at all those searchlights down there.
I guess they're looking for me.
For you?
Sure. Give me a welcome home party.
Say, that's pretty good. How far did you say you were going?
I'll be getting off pretty soon now. Say, that's a big reservoir up in the hills there, isn't it?
Biggest in the state. Holds about 100 million gallons.
What would happen if all that water spilled down the hill into Metropolis?
There just wouldn't be any Metropolis left, buddy. But don't worry, it can't happen.
Why not?
On account of the big concrete dam holding it in, that's why.
But suppose the dam was exploded.
Are you kidding? That dam's guarded all the time. Besides, who'd want it exploded? War's over.
That's what you think.
What do you mean, I think? I know.
Okay, have your way. You can drop me anywhere along here.
Right.
Thanks for the ride. So long.
So long. Don't go blowing up that reservoir dam now.
That's funny. That's exactly what I'm going to do in a very few minutes. And that will be the end of Metropolis.
Leaving the road, the Atom Man slips into the dark woods and begins working his way toward the huge reservoir, poised like a giant basin above Metropolis. Can anyone or anything stop him now? Twice, even Superman was defeated and almost annihilated by the man in whose blood runs the deadly atomic energy of kryptonite. But in tomorrow's episode, the Man of Steel makes what may be his last and most desperate challenge. So don't fail to be with us then. Same time, same station, for the final battle to the death between these two mighty foes. Tune in and follow the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep,
the super delicious cereal, presents
the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
This is the night Henry Miller, the Nazi Atom Man, threatened to destroy every man, woman, and child in Metropolis by drowning. While all police authorities, aided by the Army, guard every inch of the city's waterways, and Superman hovers high in the heavens, searching for the deadly foe who has twice brought him close to death, Miller, unseen by anyone, is slipping through the dark woods in the hills above Metropolis, bent on shattering the dam holding back the water in the city's gigantic billion-gallon reservoir and engulfing Metropolis. It's almost 8 o'clock, and the citizens, unaware of the fate hanging over their heads, are mystified by the great searchlights sweeping the river and canal, and the multitude of grim, armed men who patrol the banks. In Perry White's office at the Daily Planet, the gray-haired editor, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane are tense with nervous excitement. Listen.
What time does it get to be night, Miss Lane?
What time?
Yeah, what hour?
I don't exactly know, Jim.
When it gets dark, of course. Why?
Well, the Atom Man said when it's night.
He said.
He's gonna drown all of us like rats. And it's dark out now,
Oh,
so...
Jim, stop it.
But he said he
Will
was...
you quit that he said business? For the last 24 hours, all I've heard is he said.
But
We know what he said, so stop repeating it. And anyway, I don't believe it.
You don't?
No. Police and the Army are guarding every foot of the canal and the river. And the reservoirs, too. Even if Miller has some kind of atomic power, he won't be able to get close enough to use it, He'll be shot.
But what if he's disguised? Nobody'll know him.
Everyone has been barred from the vicinity of the canal and the river. They've been told on the radio and in the papers that anyone disobeying the order will be shot on sight. So if Miller shows his Nazi face, he'll be taken care of in a hurry.
But he doesn't have to get close. Mr. Kent says he can shoot his atomic power from a couple of 100 yards away.
Good heavens.
Now, it's Mr. Kent says. Confound it, Olson, if we live through this night, I'm going to have Poco fried you in oil and serve you up for breakfast as a pancake. I mean a pancake.
Jim would be an awfully stringy pancake.
We won't be having any breakfast tomorrow.
Well, why won't we?
Because we'll all be...
We won't be anything of the kind. If you think so, you freckle-faced crepe hanger, what are you hanging around here for? Why don't you get on the train and go where you'll be safe?
Oh, nothing doing. You and Miss Lane are staying here, and everyone else, well, so am I. I'm not running away from any dirty Nazi.
That's the way to talk, Jim.
Oh, of course, Jimmy boy. That's the way we all feel. We've been together a long time, and if this is the end, though mind you, I don't believe it, we'll see it through together.
Of course we will, Chief.
You bet.
The four of us. Where's Kent?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen him all afternoon.
Oh, he's probably hiding under his bed.
Now, that's not true, Miss Lane. Mr. Kent's as brave as you are. Why, I'll bet he's out looking for the Atom Man right now.
Nor on a plane headed for California.
He is not. Didn't he find out about the Atom Man in the first place and risk his life going to Sidney's house? And besides...
Stop it,
I
both
was
of you.
only kidding, Jim. We're all nervous, and if we can get off our minds on what may happen... Listen, what's that?
It's the insurance tower chimes. It's 9 o'clock.
Oh, golly. Maybe at any minute.
Jim...
Now relax, both of you. We never showed the white feather to the Nazis before, and we're not going to do it now.
Their nerves on edge, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Lois Lane wait for disaster. Every moment drags like an hour. The smallest sound rings like the crack of doom. Meanwhile, high above the tense city, Superman streaks through the dark sky, his keen eyes searching the river below for the Atom Man.
No sign of Miller yet. Oh, if only I knew where he planned to strike. I'd better have another look along the canal.
Away!
No, he's not here. Oh, where is he? Threatened to drown the city. So he must plan to blast the riverbanks, or destroy the canal and let the sea pour in, or explode the reservoir system. But I haven't been able to spot him anywhere. Well, back along the river again. I must find him. Oh, there's still no sign. Wait. On that roof down there. A man! No! No, it's not Miller. Hook! Hook! Oh, where is he? If I can only take him by surprise and tear that converter off his throat. It controls his power. Then I can handle him. But I've got to do it before he lets loose with that deadly lightning. I've got to find him.
Away! Wheeling and turning like some great fish, the Man of Steel resumes his patrol of the river and canal, widening his range to examine all routes nearby, then rocketing away to circle the series of reservoirs which descend in ever-widening lakes from the distant blue hills to the very doorstep of the city. But in order to patrol as much territory as possible, he narrows his range to 200 yards of each objective, and so he fails to see the Atom Man in dark clothes and cap slipping stealthily from tree to tree through the black woods, still a half-mile from the giant reservoir which, protected by a great concrete dam, looms like a mammoth basin above the city. And as the Atom Man approaches on his deadly mission, two unsuspecting guards, Joe Mitchell and Ed Terrace, pause after completing a circular tour of the huge silvery reservoir lake.
Seems quiet as ever around here, Joe. Why do you suppose we got orders to watch out sharp tonight?
Can't imagine, Ed. Something's up. Look at all them searchlights down there along the river and canal.
Yeah, just like during the war. And they were expecting an air raid. Now, but the war's over.
Of course it is. Ain't no more saboteurs around. We got to watch out for.
Well, we got to watch out for somebody. That's what the order said. Somebody who might try to blow up the dam.
Nobody better try that. I've got my family down there in Metropolis.
My boy and his wife live there, too. Hey, what's that?
What?
Just saw some lights across the water. There they go again.
Where? Oh, yeah. Oh, those are the Army boys signaling to each other. Sam Lawrence told me they're on patrol all the way up to the Blue Hills.
Yeah, if you ask me, someone's got the wind up about something that ain't gonna happen.
That's what I think, too. What we gotta do as we're told. Should we go round again, Ed?
Yeah, might as well. While we're walking and standing still.
Now, what's that noise?
I don't know. Hey, look, Joe. What in tarnation's that?
What? Where?
Coming out of the woods. You see?
Jerusalem. Looks like lightning. Green lightning. But it can't be.
Of course it can't. Lightning don't make that hissing sound. And look. keeps going in a straight line.
Yeah, Ed, it's heading for the dam. Gosh, sure almighty, look at that hole it blew in the ground. Ed, what is it?
I don't know. It's moving up to the dam now. Good Lord, if it hits the dam, that water's going to pour down and wash Metropolis off the map.
Panic-stricken, the two guards watched the strange forked green lightning leap from the dark woods, like devil's fingers probe its way toward the huge dam, exploding monstrous craters wherever it hits the earth. The Atom Man is about to make good his threat. Where is Superman? We'll return in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But right now, here's Dan McCullough to talk about the collecting of comic buttons.
You know, these days when it gets dark so early and you can't play outside, you members of the gang are having more and more time to work on your collection of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. You can sort over your buttons and count up how many different ones you've collected and pin them in different arrangements on your dress or jacket or cap. And you can be making plans to trade duplicates with your pals, too. Boy, that's swell fun. You'll want to collect all 18 of them. So ask Mom to get you more of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get these slick new buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. Just look inside the Pep package for your prize. One of these exciting new comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
As the deadly Atom Man, hidden in the dark woods, begins flashing his atomic power toward the giant billion-gallon reservoir above Metropolis, Superman, high in the air a few miles away, hears the first explosion, and veering swiftly, sees the long, jagged green lightning leaping toward the reservoir dam.
What? Great Scott! It's Miller, in that patch of woods. Down! Down!
Rocketing down through the pale moonlight, Superman launches himself at the Atom Man, his hands outstretched like a diver's to snatch the tiny electronic converter strapped to the atomic monster's throat. But when he is almost within grasp of his prey, the Atom Man hears the great swoosh of wind, looks up and sees the Man of Steel plummeting down toward him. Quickly he lifts his strangely meshed hands to direct the fierce atomic lightning at his unswerving foe. Struck like a giant bird on the wing, Superman's rush is halted. He falters, seems to shudder and spin completely about in the air. Wild with fury and triumph, the Atom Man shouts at him.
You fool! Haven't you learned that you are helpless against me?
I can't fight him this way. Losing my strength again. Up! Up! There. Just got away. Second more and I'd have been done for. All right, let him try to strike me up here. Let him exhaust his power. Uh-oh. He's shooting at the reservoir again. Better get down and draw him away. Down!
Plummeting downwards once more, the Man of Steel draws the Atom Man's fire, swooping and darting like a red and blue meteor, as the fierce green lightning stabs at him and stabs again and again, crackling and hissing in the night like 1,000 giant snakes.
Keep away, you fool! Keep away!
Savagely, the Atom Man hurls his deadly power at his swirling, darting foe. Sometimes the hideous green bolts strike home, and Superman slows and falters, only to swoop out of range barely in time. Up! Up! How will this titanic battle end? Superman is pitting all his great strength and speed against the one force on Earth, which is mightier than he is. The force which twice brought him within the very shadow of death. Can he possibly win this time, when he fights for his very life and for the lives of those he loves? Monday brings the smashing dramatic climax of our story, fellows and girls, and a startling surprise. So don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Boasting that he would destroy every man, woman, and child in Metropolis as his first step in avenging the defeat of Germany, Henry Miller, the fanatical young Nazi in whose veins flows the deadly kryptonite which enables him to generate atomic power, prepared to explode the dam guarding the great billion-gallon reservoir in the hills above the city. While the police and army guarded the river and canal, and Superman searched for him from the night skies, Miller, hidden in a dark patch of woods in the hills, attacked the reservoir. First, sparks of jagged green lightning which leaped from his weirdly gloved hands landed just short of the dam, plowing an enormous crater in the earth. From aloft, Superman heard the explosion and launched himself down through space at his deadly foe. As we continue now, a titanic battle is raging in the pale moonlight. Miller, the Atom Man, pointing his metal gloved hands aloft, sends fierce shafts of green lightning hissing and crackling at Superman, who wheels and spins and darts from them like some great bird, seeking an opportunity to flash in and rip the electronic converter from Miller's throat. Screaming like a maniac, Miller hurls bolt after bolt at the Man of Steel, watches him falter in midair like a wounded bird, and then barely swoop out of range.
Come closer, I dare you! You're afraid of me! Superman is afraid of me!
Gasping for breath, his mighty muscles weakened by the bombardment of atomic power, Superman clings to the top of a tall tree, regaining his last strength. But the Atom Man, whirling about, sees him and advances. His strange meshed hands outstretched, forks of green lightning hurtling from them to pierce and shrivel the trees in his path, to rend and uproot them, and send them crashing to earth with a roar like Jovian thunder.
Now for you, Superman!
His eyes gleaming like a madman's, the Nazi monster points his hands at the tree to which Superman clings, laughing triumphantly as the green atomic lightning strikes the giant trunk, coils around it like fierce twining snakes, uproots and hurls it blackened and scorched through the earth. And as Superman falls to the ground in the crashing branches, the Atom Man rushes toward him.
Now I've got you! This time you're through!
Oh! Keep away! As atomic power raking and exploding the earth and branches about his fallen foe, the Atom Man races forward. But suddenly there is a violent burst of wind, a blur of red and blue, and Superman bounds high from the ground, flashing up into the heavens like a comet. Enraged, the Atom Man points his hands aloft and hurls deadly green lightning after him. One bolt, then another strikes the Man of Steel, and his swift descent is halted, who struggles in midair, threshes his powerful arms and legs like a desperate swimmer. And then as the third bolt strikes him, he shudders and begins to fall. Faster and faster he falls, the pale moon lighting his billowing red cape and shimmering on the silvery waters of the vast reservoir below. There is a mighty splash. Superman disappears beneath the surface of the lake. For a long minute, 2 minutes, there is nothing to be seen but an ever-widening circle of ripples on the smooth bosom of the water. And at the edge of the blackened, ravaged woods, the Atom Man, who has turned the switch on the converter at his throat and stilled his deadly power, laughs long and loud.
I said I'd finish you, and I did. You're dead now, drowned.
Once again, the Atom Man touches the switch on the converter, strapped to his throat, flashing the electronic impulses through the deadly kryptonite atoms in his blood and surging toward his gloved hands, from which they emerge in the jagged green sparks of atomic energy. Now, triumphantly, he lifts his hands again, points them at the high concrete dam protecting the great reservoir. The green lightning leaps, ever lengthening, and is almost at the dam when Superman flashes upwards from the deep waters of the reservoir, his costume and cape dripping, and rockets like a bullet at the Atom Man.
No, you don't, Miller.
You again! What does it take to kill you?
More than you've got, my friend.
You're crazy, you fool! I'll finish you now! Now!
It's you who'll be finished tonight, Miller.
Well, see? Stop this if you can!
Once more the strange and terrible battle rages. Mouthing wild curses, the Atom Man hurls his green power again and again at his flying foe, who darts and twists from it, circles and turns in the air like a giant falcon.
You'll exhaust your power, Miller. What'll you do then?
It won't be exhausted before I finish you, and Metropolis, too. There. Now, I've got you.
No.
There.
No!
Suddenly caught by a dozen bolts of atomic lightning, Superman cries out, stricken, tries to zoom away, falters, and thuds to earth 20 yards from where Miller stands.
He lies there, groaning, trying desperately to rise as the Atom Man rushes toward him, his wild, gloating laugh ringing through the woods.
Say your prayers, Superman. This is the end.
I can't. As the Atom Man is almost upon him, Superman makes one final frenzied effort, rolls and clutches at a fallen tree, manages to throw it into the path of his murderous foe. And as the Atom Man lies stunned for a brief moment, the ghastly lightning pouring from his fingers and shattering the earth around him, Superman rises to his feet, his eyes bulging and red-rimmed, his costume stained and torn. Now's my chance. Now! Like a staggering giant, Superman reaches the Atom Man and swoops him into his arms. Up! Up! And away! High into the pale moonlight leaps the Man of Steel, the fiercely struggling Atom Man in his arms. 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet.
I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
I want that converter on your throat.
No! No!
I'll get it if I have to. Take your hands off my shoulders.
I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
Take your hands off, I said. The atomic power. It's weakening me.
I warned you, you fool. I said I'd finish you. Now I will.
Fastening his metal-gloved hands on Superman's shoulders, the Atom Man's wild laugh rings insanely through the heavens as he witnesses his powerful foe shudder, feels him weaken and grow limp.
Die, Superman! Die!
Stop it! My strength is almost gone. I'll drop you.
No!
The terrible atomic power smashes again and again at his weakened body. Superman loses consciousness. His head falls on his chest, his eyes close, and his strong arms relax their grip on his opponent.
I'm falling! I'm falling!
Screaming in terror, the Atom Man feels himself falling, shrieks in panic as he sees the ground miles below rushing up to meet him. A few feet away, his red cape billowing about his limp body, Superman falls too. Faster and faster, the two deadly enemies, both of them helpless now, plummet down toward the bank of the city's North Canal, where police officers and soldiers, attracted by the amazing green lightning miles above, stare upward in open-mouthed wonder. Then there are two smashing, sickening thuds. First the Atom Man, and then the Man of Steel strike the earth. Lie still. We'll return in a moment for the dramatic climax of today's episode. But right now, here is our announcer, Dan McCullough.
Say, wouldn't you feel mighty proud to be the first in your crowd to collect all 18 of those new comic buttons that come in packages of Kellogg's Pep? Why, you bet you would. They're pictures of your old funny paper favorites, you know, like Moon Mullins. And there's Smitty and Herbie and Smilin' Jack and Superman, of course. Couldn't leave him out. But you know, the best part is you don't have to send in any money to get these swell buttons, not even a box top. And you can't buy them anywhere. They come only as exclusive prizes in packages of Kellogg's Pep. So ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal tomorrow. Then see which prize you find inside. One of these exciting new comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Carrying the Atom Man high into the heavens, Superman lost consciousness when his deadly enemy tried to finish him with his atomic power, and both of them fell miles to Earth, where they landed on the bank of the North Canal in Metropolis. Now, a few minutes later, Superman opens his eyes to see the anxious faces of Police Inspector Henderson and General Niles of the Army looking down at him.
Oh. Hello. Hello, Inspector.
Are you all right, Superman?
Yes, I think so.
No. Don't try to get up yet.
No, I'm all right. Miller. The Atom Man. What about him?
He's finished.
Finished? Are you sure?
No doubt about it. What's left of him is under the canvas over there.
Thank you.
You saved Metropolis tonight, Superman.
You certainly did, and I want to extend my thanks and the thanks of the Army. I'm General Niles, by the way.
Thank you, sir. I didn't mean to let Miller die, but I carried him into the air to prevent him from exploding the dam. Then he tried to finish me. I lost consciousness.
You did a wonderful job, a simply wonderful job. You had a report of what happened at the reservoir. If it hadn't been for you, every man, woman, and child in Metropolis would be dead by now.
We owe you more than we can ever repay.
You don't owe me anything. I'm fighting for the same things you are. The end of tyranny and intolerance.
Then I'll only say thank heaven that the worst threat America ever faced is over.
I'll second that.
Sorry, gentlemen. But the threat is far from over.
What do you mean? It isn't?
I mean that a terrible threat still remains. To me, to you, and to the entire world.
Amazed, Inspector Henderson and General Niles stare at Superman. Henry Miller, the deadly atom man, is no more. So what can his conqueror mean? You who have followed this story closely may be able to guess what Superman means. Know why at this very moment of his